And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Givens versus Delgado. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Jeffrey Givens is suing his former friend, 21-year-old Sierra Delgado, for a loan to put a down payment on a new apartment.
Mr. Givens, it is your claim that you made a loan to Miss Delgado in the amount of $700. She was a friend of yours. Miss Delgado says that she accepted the $700 from you because she needed some money and it was a gift. How long do you know her?
Your Honor, I have known Miss Delgado since January. I met her at Bartending Academy, and I think that the gift part of that whole story that you just gave me is an utter fabrication.
You have a copy of your check?
Yes, Your Honor. It's a copy of...
$1,000, sir. What was the $1,000 for?
Yes, Your Honor. I wanted to pull out $1,000, and she gave me $300 back. So I am suing for $700.
Tell me how it came about, sir, that you knew that she needed $700.
Your Honor, she asked me for money to help pay for her deposit on her new apartment.
When was this?
This was probably January 28th, and I gave the money to her on February 1st.
So you had known her less than a month?
Correct.
Why did you approach him about needing money?
Well, we had met at the Bartending Academy, and we had a friendship going. One night we hung out, and we had relations. After that, I told him I didn't want anything other than a friendship.
Well, when did your relationship with the plaintiff become more than just a friendship?
I would say it was just a one-night stand.
When?
This was in January, the end of January.
Give me the date.
I don't remember the date. We were drinking.
Think about it.
Oh, well, the beginning of January. I'm sorry.
You're testing my patience. Other than bartending school, what else do you do?
I work at 2 restaurants.
And you?
I am a student, Your Honor, and
Where?
I just got out of the Navy, University of San Diego.
Are you a full-time student or a part-time student?
Your Honor, I am a full-time student, biology major.
Who supports you?
I support myself, Your Honor. I was in the Navy, and I have money left over. I have loans, and the military is supporting me a little bit with the GI Bill.
Where were you in service?
I served in Japan, and I served in San Diego.
When were you in Japan?
From 2000 to 2004. And I was in San Diego from 2004 to 2006, October 23rd. That's when I got out.
Do you remember the time that you had an intimate relationship with the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was it?
It was about January 15th, because that was when Bartending Academy was going on.
And was it after that that she said she only wanted to be friends?
Correct. I did want to be in a relationship with her. She didn't want to, so I cut it off. I had a new relationship going when I gave her the money. So I thought, since I was a personal trainer as well, and I thought, since I can't be your significant other or whatever that may be, I would like to be your friend, personal trainer. I tried to help her. When I sat down with her at the Cheesecake Factory, I gave her a goal list. This was my way of a contract. It's not a contract, but I was trying to help her. I bent over backwards for this young lady.
This is my friend Veronica. She was...
How long has she been your friend?
Since junior high. She's one of the first people that I said, hey, I tell her my problems, and I would have had the money by the end of February, but the girl I was taking the contract over with said she wanted it at the beginning of the month, so I wasn't prepared for that, and I sent Mr. Givens a text message, hey, how do you get $700 in a day? Just, joking. He was a friend, and he jokingly said, stand on the corner of El Cajon Boulevard.
That's a tease.
Yeah.
Madam, you owe $700.
I don't owe him any money.
Yes, you do!
He gave it to me as a gift.
No, he gave it to you under false pretenses.
Your Honor, I haven't...
I'm speaking. If you had already made a decision, Miss Delgado, that all you wanted was a friendship, if anything, because I assumed that either you were disappointed with January 15th or you found his behavior somewhat bizarre. Either way, I don't care if you go into a homeless shelter. You don't take money from him under false pretenses, and you don't coyly send him a text message, hey, when you know that he wants more from you than you were willing to give him. How do you get $700 in a day? That you may say to your mother or your father. That you may say to your brother or your sister. That you don't say to a guy who is clearly wearing his heart on his sleeve, because that is unkind and cruel and fraudulent. You owe him $700. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. Now, this is case number 45 on the calendar in the matter of Lacey versus Rashawn.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
I have a complaint and I have a counterclaim. Each of you claim road rage by the other. And Miss Lacey, you claim that the defendant assaulted you.
Yes.
The defendant denies that. So I'm used to, quite frankly, hearing about these road rage incidents with guys behind the wheel of a car. Very rarely do I see mature women who get involved with that kind of stupidity. It's very distressing. When did this happen?
March 12th of '07.
What time of the day?
3:30 p.m.
Where were you coming from or going to?
I was going to a doctor's appointment southbound on Highway 99.
Anybody in the car with you?
No.
And where were you going or coming?
I was picking up my son, going southbound on 99.
Okay, tell me what happened.
I was in the, there's a carpool lane, and then there's 3 regular lanes. Mr. Sean was a carpool because she had her daughter with her, but she was in the regular lane, and traffic was all backed up. So I was trying to get to my doctor's appointment. I rushed around her in the carpool lane and came back over real quick.
So you cut her off?
Well,
Just a second. So you cut her off?
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what
Okay.
you did. Just a second. Just a second. That's exactly what you did. You cut her off.
Okay.
Now, because there is no rule that if you have more than one person in the car, you have to drive in a carpool lane. The carpool lane merely allows you to be in that lane if you're more than one person.
Correct.
But there's no requirement that you go in a carpool lane if you're 2 people.
Correct.
I question you about that, Miss Lacey, because you seem to indicate here that you were annoyed with her because she should have been in the carpool lane and not taking up space in the other 3 lanes where there was traffic. That's what you seem to indicate here.
Correct.
Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. There are tens of thousands of cars on the road. You're complaining about this lady because she didn't want to go in a fast lane with her daughter? That's ridiculous. And then you did the wrong thing. You cut her off. Now, I haven't gotten to you yet, but we will. Because I have a feeling that both of you ladies acted very badly that day. So after you cut her off, what happened?
I proceeded down southbound 99. I took the Florin Road exit and headed eastbound. There's 2 lanes on eastbound Florin. I was in the left lane, and I noticed a couple of minutes after I exited Florin Road, I noticed in my rearview mirror Miss Rashawn in the right lane, and she comes up. She's next to my car yelling at me and calling me a few
She's yelling
names.
at you. What is she calling you? She's calling you bad names?
She's calling me bad names.
And what did you say to her?
I didn't say anything. I was like, you know, I was trying to get to my doctor's appointment. That's all I was trying to do. And she started calling me the B word and yelling at me for cutting her off, et cetera, et cetera. And next thing I knew, her car is over in my lane, hits my car. I'm looking, and in my lane is a tan SUV, and my first thought was, this lady is going to make me hit this SUV in front of me. So I slammed on my brakes. She had so much force on my car that she ended up over in the left lane, and I took a right onto Palmer House, right here. And I came down here. Because I wasn't sure, like I said, she was extremely upset, so I was scared to stop or anything. I got on the phone, was trying to get through to 911. She kept following me, and then I lost her, and I came back, and she was parked. So I was trying to take a picture of her license plate. So when I got through to 911, I would have the license plate number. As I was focusing in on the license plate, I had my windows down. She gets out of her car, comes up to my vehicle, to the passenger side, starts screaming and yelling at me on how I hit her car, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, no, I didn't. Next thing I knew, she reaches in through the passenger side window, grabs my purse out of my car, and I was in shock. I was like, wait a minute, that's stealing, that's my purse. So I get out of my car, I go around the back of my car, and she dumps my purse and throws everything on the ground. And I go to pick it up, and she rushes me, scratches me and everything. She is just going at me. And I was in shock, and I believe, excuse my language, but I think I said, what the F, that's assault? And she goes, no, your boyfriend beats you up. I'm like, oh, is that the way we play the game? And then she continues with these 2 gentlemen came out, pulled her off of me. I asked them if they would stick around and talk to the police. They said no. I went to pick up my belongings off of the ground, and when I went to stand back up, she pushes me. I didn't have a chance to brace myself or anything. I fell back, and my head hit the street twisted my ankle, bruise on my right arm, everything's on the right side. Again, I get back up and start trying to retrieve my stuff again, and that's when the officer pulled up.
Okay, your version.
That was totally a lie.
Your version.
My version is we were southbound on 99 on our way to pick up my son. We were in the carpool lane. She's tailgating me. My daughter noticed that.
Don't tell me what anybody else knows. Just tell me
Okay, she
what
wanted.
happened from your perspective.
Okay, she went around on the shoulder to get around me. I wasn't in the number 2 lane, I was in the number 1 lane. She went around on the shoulder, started driving wildly. She was weaving in and out of traffic, got back in the carpool lane. I exited off the freeway. My daughter noticed when we were over the overpass. She said, the same car is getting off the freeway. Is that hers? I said, I don't know. So we were driving east on Florin, and then all of a sudden, I saw a car driving up fast behind me. So I moved over to the right lane, and lo and behold, bam, she crashes right into me.
Where was the damage to your car?
Got pictures right here.
See it.
And you can
You have
tell.
pictures of the damage to your car?
Yes.
And she hit me.
Why don't I have any pictures of the front of either of these cars?
Because I didn't hit her. She hit me. She's claiming.
I said, why don't I have any pictures of the front of either of these cars?
Because there was no damage in the front of my car.
But if I had a picture of that, it would have been helpful.
Okay.
Because she sideswiped me, she didn't.
I did not sideswipe you.
No. This car looks to me as if this car, this is where the impact was in the
That's
front.
her tire marks.
That's where she
Her
crashed
tire
into
was-
me.
Well-
And then you can see on my picture where she
dam-
stayed on my...
The damage to her car is mostly on the side.
Right.
Damage to your car, mostly over here. Okay, so she hits your car, and
She tried to veer me to the right into a ditch. Why I had a picture of the ditch there. And then I managed to get ahead of her, so I passed the light, but she went to the right on Palmer House and tried to run from me. So I was like, she's not going to run from me. So I ended up backing up in the street and following her down the street. And she made a U-turn in someone's driveway. I came around behind her. She backed up and just crashed right into the back of my car. You could see the dent by the gas tank there. And then she managed to drive back down the street, went into a church parking lot. She did a donut in there, and I got a picture of the marks on the ground there, if you look at the picture. And she was heading straight for me like she wanted to play chicken. So I was like, this lady has no regard for me and my daughter. And first of all, why would I even hit her with my daughter in the car?
you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at the police reports, please.
And I'm a commercial truck driver, so why would I want to ruin my driving record? That's my livelihood. I am a Class A truck driver, so I have no reason to be crashing into anybody.
You told the police that after you took the pocketbook out of her car, which you acknowledged that you did, which was the wrong thing to do, you understand that,
I understand.
that she slapped you.
Yes.
Where did she slap you?
Right here on the right side of my cheek.
And that's when you hit her?
Yes.
You have photographs of your injuries?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see them, please. You hurt her pretty badly, madam. You hurt her pretty badly. That's
Well-
unreasonable.
She hit me.
I'm not sure about that. No, you say she slapped you. I believe that, but you assaulted her.
She hit me first.
No, I don't believe that. Not only don't I believe it, but even if she slapped you in the face after you took her purse, she's allowed to do that.
Well, I didn't steal her purse.
Yes, you did. Once
I
you
grabbed it, yes.
Yes, you did. You stole her purse. The purpose of your removing it was not to steal its contents, was to make sure that you had identifying information about her because she was leaving. You could have had the same identifying information by just taking down her license plate number. You chose not to do that. You committed a felony. You reached into her car and took her purse. You lost your temper. That's a felony.
Well, anybody would under the circumstances.
No, my dear.
Well, not stealing the
no,
purse,
I
but
wouldn't
I
have
was
done
hot.
it. I would have stayed in my car until a police officer came. I would have locked my doors, rolled up my
Well,
windows,
I called
and said,
911.
You may have called 911, but you stay in your car. Especially when you have your daughter with you. You don't know what kind of nut this is. All you did was say to me, this person was driving erratically. That's what you said to me. She cut me off. She rammed my car. And instead of sitting in your car and protecting your daughter, you got out of the car and stole a pocketbook.
Actually, I got out of the car to estimate my damages, and she drove up alongside of me, started yelling at me.
So what? So, further proof.
But I was away from her.
You weren't away from her. You walked up to her car and reached into her bag. You can't do that. You understand that? Yeah, good. I'm glad you understand it. And you should be more responsible if you have your child with you. Now, go ahead.
I also asked her if she was on medication, and she said she was.
It's very possible. And if she told you she was on medication, I mean, I know that you didn't ask it in a calm way, because if somebody rams your car, as she rammed your car, you're not calm. So you probably said, what are you on?
No, I asked her, are you on any medication?
And she said,
yes, I am.
Was that before or after you assaulted her?
That was before.
You got me? In any event, you have medical bills?
I actually don't have medical bills, except for like my prescriptions, so like $60 for prescriptions.
Okay.
I also have a report from, because there's more injuries than the pictures, because when I fell, my head hit the
I'd
ground.
like to see it.
So there's
I didn't cause her to hit her head. She did that on her own.
Medical report.
And my daughter can witness to that.
I'm not going to call your daughter as a witness.
Okay.
I think you put her through quite enough. What?
Sorry. It says in the police report that there's no visual marks on her face. And she said,
No, I read that there were no visual marks. She was not injured. No, I understand that.
Okay.
I do believe, however, that you damaged her car.
Okay.
I think that she lost it, and I think that you behaved very badly that day, Miss Lacey.
Okay.
Very badly. I think that you were in a rush to get to a doctor's appointment, and you were driving erratically on the road in order to do that. You placed a lot of people's lives in jeopardy, because that's what... You practically acknowledged that in your statement, but she's not allowed to lose her temper and assault you. Now, you were banged up.
Yes.
You were banged up. I'm awarding you $3,500 in fees for your pain and suffering.
Okay.
And for your medical bills, whatever they were.
Okay.
I'm awarding her $3,500 on her counterclaim to fix her car for the damage that you caused.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That means each of you gets nothing. That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, she ran into me.
You don't assault somebody.
She did road rage.
You don't grab their belongings out of their car
When she got out of the car, hit me,
and throw them on the ground
and then tried to gain sympathy from everybody that she's the victim.
and leave marks and welts and bruises.
And I am the perpetrator, which I'm the victim.
I was on Valium.
Don't be on drugs and commit road rage.
When she says I was on drugs, I was not on drugs. I was on Valium from 3 weeks prior. My 2 neighbors were murdered.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Howell versus Bays, step forward, please.
23-year-old Crystal Howell is suing her neighbor, Rory Bays, for money owed on a 1989 Mitsubishi Montero she sold him. Rory claims it was never a legal sale.
Miss Howell, you sold the defendant a used car
Correct.
for $1,900.
That is correct.
He paid you, according to you, $900, and the understanding was he was going to make payments for the rest, the other
Correct.
$1,000. Within a relatively short period of time, the engine blew up in this car. What year car was it?
It was an 89. However, I would like to point out that at the time he bought the vehicle, he was aware of...
Just don't tell me what he was aware of.
Okay.
You can't tell me what he was aware of.
Can I tell
Unless
you what I told him?
No.
Okay.
What you can do is you can show me a bill of sale.
Yes. What would that
Bill
be
of
the
sale.
title? Or I have a
contract, a bill of sale.
written agreement. There you go.
So this is a 1989 car, which is now 18 years old. And you sold it to him for $1,900. And he says Arbla is responsible for the purchase of this 1989 Mitsubishi, payments, what the delivery payment was, and how they were supposed to be made, the rest of the payments, when they were supposed to be made. Nothing about the condition of the car, nothing. That's all it says. So you can't tell me what you told him, you can't tell me what he knew, you can't tell me anything else, because anything else should have been in this contract. Do you understand? Law does not permit you to go outside the 4 corners of this contract. So you were selling him this car. It blew
As
up
is.
after him. No, not as is. You did not say that here. Do you understand that? Good. So the car blew up, but that still doesn't relieve you, sir, of the obligation of paying for the car. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Except you say that she didn't have clear title to sell you the car.
No, ma'am, she didn't.
That when the car blew up, you went to try to take it to a salvage for the purpose of, put your hand down, for the purpose of getting some money, so you were going to pay for it.
Correct.
And you didn't have clear title to the car.
Correct.
May I interject?
Yes.
The person that I purchased it for never took his name off the title, which I was unaware of because the automobile
then
that
he's
I
absolutely
bought.
right. You did not give him clear title.
But
Listen to me.
automobile dealership that I purchased it from is responsible for transferring the title.
Listen to me. What he's saying is, and he's absolutely right,
I have a copy of the lien right here, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. You did not have clear title to sell him this car.
However, I will say that when I purchased the vehicle, I had owned that car for 6 years. I purchased this off 3 years before selling it to Rory.
Hugh is the lien holder.
He was the gentleman that I purchased the car from.
Miss Howell,
I owe him
what
no
I'm
money.
telling you is you did not give him clear title to this car.
I was unaware of that.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $2,900 to $3,500. I'm not
Okay.
positive of the amount.
Let's say you paid $2,900 for it. You sold it to him for $1,900. You got $900 from him, which means you had the car for 6 years or so, and it cost you $2,000. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I don't feel badly at all dismissing your claim.
But
not at all. Because this agreement that you just gave me is void because you had no right to sell him the car. And I don't care what you put in it in order to maintain it.
It had a brand new motor. May I please call my
Miss Howell,
father as a witness?
Miss Howell.
Yes.
Is he going to tell me that there wasn't a lien on the car?
No.
Then I'm not interested in what he has to say. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may case number 73 on the calendar in the matter of Padilla versus Kern.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Ms. Padilla, this is your ex-husband. You've been divorced since when?
Our divorce was finalized in November of 2004.
And you have one child together?
Yes.
How old is that child?
He's now 5.
I'd like you to keep your voice up, Ms. Padilla, because I have difficulty hearing you. Not because there's anything terribly wrong with my hearing, but I know that you may be a little nervous. You're speaking softly. You have to speak up like me.
No problem.
Great. Make believe you're yelling at him.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Your lawsuit alleges that Mr. Kern filed false allegations against you with Child Protective Services, forcing you to hire an attorney. You want your attorney's fees back and the expenses that you incurred as a result of defending that litigation. Mr. Kern says he had legitimate concerns over his child, and that's why he made the report. Okay? Do you have other children?
One.
How old?
Same age. A little older by a few months.
Who does that child live with?
Her. I didn't know of his existence till long after he was born. It's quite a story.
Well, it's quite a story, but it has an age-old beginning.
They're 6 weeks apart.
Another 10.
And I assume you've done the appropriate DNA testing and everything else? Paternity testing?
Correct.
So that while you were married, you fathered another child. Is that right?
No, it was before I was married. Before her and I got married, her and I were together. She told me she had an abortion, so we never talked again. Me and her got back together. And then after, actually the day my son Cameron was born, I get another phone call from her saying, oh, guess what?
Do you see that child?
No.
So that there are no other siblings in your house?
No.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
How old are they?
They're 7 and 5.
The 7-year-old is not Mr. Kern's child.
No.
When did you and Mr. Kern separate?
In November of 2002.
So the baby was an infant at the time?
Yes, he was.
Was there any issue as far as custody at that time?
At that time, Mr. Kern left, and Cameron did stay with me. And when we did our divorce papers, we decided to do 50-50 custody. And up until this recent event, we did share 50-50 custody.
When you say 50-50 custody, how did that break down in the week?
We would alternate weeks. 1 week I would have 3 days, he would have 4. The next week I would have 4 days, he would have 3.
So that really required that you live in close proximity to each other.
At the time, I was in Riverside, California, and he was up in Apple Valley, so about an hour away.
So, Mr. Kern, you had your son half the time.
Correct.
But you, I assume, always knew that there would come a time when he went to school and you couldn't have that kind of an arrangement because you can't live an hour away from each other and still do that.
Correct. I offered to put him in private school, and she didn't want that. She lives in Colton.
Just a second. You offered to put him in private school near you.
Correct.
Well, she didn't want him to be at private school
She
near
wanted
you. Shh, Mr. Kern, because that would mean that she would lose her 50% of the custody time. Sure it would, because if he's in private school near you, of necessity he has to spend 5 days a week at your house. In any event, she said, no, I want to put him to school where I am, right?
Correct.
She wanted the child to go to school in her location, you wanted the child to go to school in your location, and then the trouble began. So, Mr. Curran, why don't you tell me the timeline from there? She brought papers to you to ask you to sign off so that you could register the child in school.
Yeah, and that if I didn't agree, she wouldn't let me have my son. She was going to leave in the parking lot right then and there. Actually, it started long before that. My son had lots of marks and bruises on him that were questionable. And every time I'd ask her, you know, how did this happen? It was always the same story. Oh, he got it playing with his brother, or he got it fighting with his brother. One February day, she called me, said, hey, you know, he had a bit of an accident. I don't know if I'm going to take him to the hospital or not. I'm just letting you know. I said, okay, do I need to come down there? You know, I'll take him myself. She said, no. He showed up that weekend, and I have pictures right here. He has a complete black eye. He has a gash in his eye.
I'd like to see it.
And these are some other pictures of bruises and marks on him from when he's come from her house. Hand marks, bruise on his shoulder, other marks on his face from different times. And I took those pictures to my attorney, asked them what they think I should do, and that's when I took that to the court.
I wouldn't say a word if I were you. You are no relation to this case.
That's my wife.
I understand exactly who it is, sir. I understand exactly who it is, and if you want the situation with your son to ultimately resolve itself, I would suggest that she let you do the talking. That's the problem. Well, see, black and blue marks on his arms.
I also have a video that I think you need to see that's important in this case.
Oh, this is his leg.
This is just one of 100 times of how he acts when he goes back to his mother. And I think it's very important that you see this video right here.
Sure.
And after my attorney told me, you know, after I took that to court for next court.
Don't tell me what your attorney told you, sir. What your attorney told you was hearsay.
All right, here we go, guys.
Cameron, come on, baby. Hey, the sooner you go with your mommy, the sooner I get to come get you and we can do Christmas. Come on, honey. Cameron. Come on, it's time to go with your mommy, honey. Don't do that. Come on. Mommy misses you. She wants to see you. Okay, baby? Come on.
I've seen enough. Turn it off, please.
That's not even the good part. The part where he throws himself on the ground, and I asked, you know, let me talk to him to calm him down. She won't let me. He's banging on the window in her car, you know, screaming for me, and takes off.
I don't understand why you're photographing this.
Well, actually, that was upon her request in the court. She wanted to videotape pickups or drop-offs, so if somebody said something they shouldn't, they could take it to court.
That was at her request? Is that right?
No, it wasn't.
I have it on the minutes.
I'd like to see it. It's a major concern to me to videotape a child like that, who was clearly as young as he is, playing for the camera. Well, this just says the parties stipulate that the visitation exchanges may be videotaped and audiotaped.
Yeah, she did that because she accused me of bad-mouthing her when I pick up or drop off my son. So the judge said that we can videotape or audiotape the pickup or drop-offs. And they...
Just a second. Then she didn't ask for it. She accused you,
and we went to court.
Mr. Kern, listen to me. I'm really big on two parents getting involved and being integral parts of their children's lives, fathers and mothers. I think it's really important. And I don't know which one of you is a better custodial parent. I really don't know. Sounds to me as if you adore him.
It's my life.
And it sounds to me, based upon the answer that you submitted to me, that you legitimately feel that you are a more fit custodial parent. Maybe, but I'm telling you what I'm seeing. The injuries that you've shown me here are nothing compared to what my kids had when they were growing up.
But if your kid came
broken arms,
on his face or something,
broken
would you not be
arms,
concerned?
jumping off the beds with their siblings, banging heads, getting hit in the face with a lacrosse stick, all kinds of things happen to children, especially children who have a close in age sibling.
But then where's the supervision?
Excuse me?
If something like that happens to his face because he was fighting with his brother, where was the supervision?
Can't supervise children all the time, Mr. Kern. What planet are you living on, sir?
This one. These things don't happen at my house. I have 2 full-grown German Shepherds. He has his own bike. He has everything in the world a kid could ever want. And these things don't happen in my home.
Mr. Kern, what you don't have in your house is another child.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And nowhere in that report does he say, my mommy hits me, my mommy beats me.
No, but it does talk about domestic violence, about how her boyfriend hits her and she hit him back. And that's from what he's seen.
Crystal Padilla claims the father of her child, James Kern, falsely accused her of abuse to Child Protective Services. She is suing for her attorney fees.
The only issue in this case, as far as I'm concerned, is do these pictures of marks on the child give him sufficient reason for him to have placed a call to Child Protective Services to investigate?
I never called Child Protective Services. I just filed an ex parte hearing saying, for my concerns about those marks. I never called CPS not once.
Just a second. So you filed a proceeding, an ex parte proceeding, for what?
To get custody of my son so we could find out what was going on. I have letters here from a psychotherapist.
Just a second. So you had 50-50 custody, and based upon these photographs, you went to court through your attorney and filed an ex parte order seeking physical custody full-time of your child based upon these photographs.
And letters from a psychotherapist that interviewed my son to find out where the marks were coming from, which I have these right here as well.
So while the child was with you, in addition to taking these photographs, you took him to a psychologist.
Yeah, upon my attorney's advice.
Listen, Mr. Kern, I was there for 25 years. I know exactly what's going on, sir. I know precisely what's going on. Now, when did you file your ex parte proceeding, sir?
End of April '06.
And when did Miss Padilla tell you that she wasn't going to allow you to enroll the child in private school in your area?
She served me on my first wedding anniversary, which was March 12th, '06, and that's where the court
Just a
papers
second.
began.
So in March of '06, Miss Padilla served you with papers seeking what?
That she wanted him to go to school in her area, which is Colton.
So she served you with papers in March of '06. And in April of '06, you saw an attorney, brought photographs, and at that point filed your own ex parte order for an immediate transfer of custody based upon allegations of abuse. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm getting the timeline here.
Upon my attorney's advice.
That wasn't his first response to my petition. His original response noted nothing of physical abuse.
Okay. Then he took these pictures that he had been saving up and storing up since December of 2005.
That's not true. On my
attorney.
first response, noted a lot of things. The fact that she lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with her sister and her 2 children, with her other son and my son. My son coming to my house telling me he sleeps on the couch with his brother while she sleeps in her room with her boyfriend.
Mr. Kern, how much support do you pay for that child support?
Which one?
That lady's child.
$250.
$250 or what?
A month.
Pay it every month?
Nope.
So you don't pay child support?
Not every month. Sometimes I get behind on bills and stuff. I can't make the payment.
He hasn't paid in over 3 years.
Yes, I have.
I'm getting there. And how much child support do you pay now for this child?
I believe it was $400 a month if she took him to school. I let my employer have the information, and I don't think they've started that yet.
So how much do you pay her?
$400 a month or something like that. I don't quite
$400.
recall.
Well, the employer hasn't started deducting it from your salary yet. So how much do you give her every month?
Nothing.
Why?
Because if I give it to her, she'll never report it.
But in between the time that the child support order takes place, sir, and they start with the income deduction order, months could go by before that happens. So how do you expect your child to be supported? Okay, so now you have 2 children, and if I am correct, from what you tell me, Mr. Kern, who you want me to believe you're father of the year, you have 2 children for whom
I'm not father
you are
of the year.
currently paying 0 child support. And this from a man who said, I want to put my son in private school near me.
I had 50% custody at the time.
No,
Actually, I had
listen
more.
to me. Listen to me. This is from a man who said, I want to pay for private school. And now you tell me that you have 2 children, 5 years old, for whom you are currently paying nothing in child support.
That's not every month. Just because she hasn't received hers yet, that's the child support agency, not my fault. I'm not going to give it to her and have her deny it.
You got where we're going? He thinks he's a step ahead of me. I was there for 25 years, Mr. Kern. I know exactly what's going on. Exactly. Well, let's finish the scenario. You went to court. You had a lawyer. Did you have a lawyer?
On the Monday, I went to...
Just answer my question. Did you have a lawyer?
On our next court date, we did.
And the child's custody was immediately transferred to the father.
For
Is
the
that
month
right?
pending.
Just answer my question.
Yes.
For how long did Mr. Kern have custody?
Until May 17th of 2006.
And then what happened?
That was our original court date, and we went to mediation.
When you went back to mediation, was a forensic expert assigned to the case?
No.
We were assigned to do a 7:30 evaluation.
And what was the name of the therapist who was doing the evaluation?
Dr. Michael.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. So as a result, I assume, at least in part of the forensic evaluation, the court determined that the custody arrangement that you originally agreed to was not workable.
Correct.
Is that right? And ultimately, primary physical custody was ordered to you.
Yes, it was.
And the court granted you visitation 3 weekends a month. Is that right?
Big drop from having them half the time, huh?
Absolutely right, sir. You're supposed to be smart enough to know that whatever custody arrangement you make when a child is 2 is not going to be able to hold true when the child is 6 or 8 or 10 or 12. And you're supposed to be able to work with each other. And just because you got angry that she wasn't going to allow you to have your way...
How's that right? These pictures were started being taken in December, beginning of December, when she filed in March. So how is it I got mad and all of a sudden, magically appeared some pictures from December? These are concerns I've had for a while.
Either that, sir, or you don't understand what it's like to be a 5-year-old with a 7-year-old sibling, with a black and blue mark on the knee, with a scratch above the eye, with a black and blue mark on the hand, with scrapes across the face. It happens. It happens. And nothing that I read in this report suggested, absolutely nothing, that your child complained that any of those marks were as a result of his mother's actions.
I have some other letters here that you should read then.
Absolutely.
There is also a section about her in the 730 evaluation, the psychotherapist that wrote the letters that he's showing you now. And nowhere in that report does he say, my mommy hits me, my mommy beats me.
No, but it does talk about domestic violence, about how her boyfriend hits her and she hit him back.
Listen,
and that's from what he's seen.
The problem, Mr. Kern, is that you really are going to have to back off in interfering with what goes on in her house.
If your child sees domestic violence, should I not be concerned?
What I'm telling you is you have to back off as to what goes on in her house. You're not supposed to ask your son anything about what goes on in her house.
The therapist asked him that.
I didn't say the therapist. I said you're not supposed to ask him anything about what goes on in his house. And she's not supposed to ask him anything about what goes on in your house. You're both supposed to assume that each of you love him and want to take care of him and want to protect him and do the right thing. That's what you're supposed to assume. And you, Mr. Kern, are supposed to pay child support for that child, for this child, who you now don't have in your custody. I mean, I read the report, and the report indicated that when this forensic evaluation was done, your son says you don't work, and you're home all the time.
No, I'm a contractor, so I choose my own hours.
That's what he says. He says, my father doesn't work.
Well, I make sure I'm home when he's there.
I'm telling you what your son says, sir.
I know what he says, and I'll make
His son says,
to you.
my father doesn't work. Well, that's not a good thing for a child to even think that his father doesn't work. That's what he said. Told the
Well, that's
therapist,
because he's
my
5 years
father
old. He thinks the magic wand pays the bills. Just because I go out of my way to make sure I'm home when he's there so we can spend time together. I work when he's not with me.
If you have him with you 4 days a week, sir, you should be working
That's
part
not
of that
4 days
time.
a week.
That's what you told me.
I'm not home
You told
4
me
days a
that
week.
you
It
had
could be 3 days a week,
50-50
1
custody.
week. It could be 3 1 week. It could be 2 if my
Mr.
wife's
Kern,
off.
you got an
she
answer
watches
for
him.
everything, sir. What you're asking me for is counsel fees. That's what you're asking me for.
Right.
Counsel fees. And I'm not granting those. Because he went to an attorney. I just want you to think about this. He went to an attorney and sought the advice of counsel who represented him when you filed an application to terminate the 50-50 custody arrangement. So you filed the petition first. He had to hire a lawyer. And he just said, I'd rather be on the offensive rather than on the defensive because that's his temperament.
Well, he didn't consult an attorney first. He stated that my father told him to take me to court.
No, I didn't.
He went, listen, did he have an attorney representing him?
At the ex parte hearing, he did, yes.
Did he have the attorney representing him in the case that you filed?
No.
I'm talking about the original date in May, because that you said was the original court date you had on your application. Did you have an attorney or not?
Yes.
I believe he had an attorney. His attorney started the process, so the attorney had necessity had to be with him. You don't get your counsel fees. It's unfortunate that both of you spent your money on legal fees, but you don't get your counsel fees, just like he doesn't get his. But he's better start to pay child support.
They can't find any child support because I've received a 2-cent check since the child support was ordered.
That is not true.
Well,
Here you go.
if he doesn't pay the child support order, what I'm going to suggest you do is go to the court and ask to have his driver's license suspended. You too. The first thing that states have to do under federal guidelines is take away his driver's license. And as a contractor, he needs that. Otherwise, his wife is going to have to drive herself to work and him to work. Don't let him get away without paying child support. That's his obligation as a parent, to you and to you, and to your children. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Your case is dismissed. He's not required to pay your counsel fees. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Sir, out the back door to your right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Saucedo versus Trejo. Step forward.
22-year-old Leonardo Saucedo is suing his former roommate, 23-year-old Jessica Trejo, for breaking their apartment lease.
Mr. Saucedo, this young lady was a friend of yours and you decided to rent an apartment together.
That's correct.
You signed a one-year lease. It was a two-bedroom apartment from what I gather. You moved in. Shortly after you moved in, she moved out.
4 months later, yes.
And you were able to terminate the lease early, but it cost you several $1,000s. And you believe that because she moved out without any good cause, that she should be responsible for the early termination fees on the lease.
That's correct.
I've tried to find the defense that is in Ms. Trejo's answer. And the best I can figure out is you were playing your radio too loud.
No, that's not true.
I don't know what her defense is. When did you move into this apartment, Mr. Saucedo?
We moved there September 2006.
And how long had you known the defendant before you decided to be roommates?
About a year. I had met her on MySpace.
You didn't have a romantic relationship?
We did prior to moving in. We were talking, kind of dating, but we ended that before we moved in because we didn't want to have conflict with each other.
And did that work out okay?
There was one occasion. Something happened, but that's it.
Everything else was...
Everything else was perfect.
She stayed in her room and you stayed in your room?
Exactly, yes. No problems. We both respect each other's space.
When did you move out?
February 2007.
Why?
Because I felt like I was not in a good environment, because he would have his music all loud. I would work 13 hours a day, 6 days out of the week, and my job is very serious.
What kind of job do you have?
I'm a laboratory technician.
Yeah?
And pretty much I have to get my sleep in order for me to do my bone marrow slides and whatever I do. And he would bring girls over to the house, always playing the music loud. And I could never get my sleep. I would come home 11 o'clock at night from work, and I would shut my door, try to go to sleep. I couldn't. There was always things slamming doors, slamming cabinets, and there was no way of me getting my sleep.
That's not true.
I would be going to sleep until 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning.
So that's your defense. Your defense was that he played the music too loud.
Not only that, Your Honor.
Well, then get to something more meaningful, madam.
Okay, another thing was we did have a sexual relation while we were living together. We did.
And?
And another thing was he owed a lot of money to me before we moved in. And, like, the money that he owed me and, like, the music and all that he was always playing. And not only that, but the foul language and the sex he was having with other girls. And I would always bring my friends over, which it was a 14-year-old daughter from my best friends.
Yeah.
And they would come over and come and visit me. And when they would come and visit me, it was at the wrong time, to the point that he would be having sex and the 14-year-old girl would be listening to that.
It's not true.
I'm still waiting for a legal reason for you moving out and breaking your lease.
Because it was not an environment for me to be in.
Should have thought of that before you signed the lease.
He was not like that the way we were.
He was always like, you mean he's a psychopath? He's got bipolar disorder? He's two different personalities? You know him for a year. This is who he is.
Yes, but before that, when we moved in together, he was not the way he was before.
So?
It was a whole totally different person.
So what you do is, since you work 12 hours a day, you say, listen, I'm going to stay in this apartment. You leave. I'll take over the lease. But I'm not happy with living with you here. You just don't leave.
I did tell him that. I gave him my 30-day notice.
You can't give him 30-day notice. You have a one-year lease. How can you give him 30-day notice? Tell him I'm leaving. Goodbye. I'm giving you 30 days.
I did give him a 30-day notice. Plus, not only that, but I just felt like I couldn't be in the apartment anymore. It was affecting with my job.
So I just told you what you should have done. You should have said to him, I think you have to move out because we're not getting along.
I told him that we needed to move out.
Not we.
And
not we. He.
Okay, well, I did not want it to be there no longer either.
Why? No,
I was going to pay whatever was the rest on the lease.
Yes.
Okay? Now, he decided not to leave from there because he didn't want to live with his grandparents anymore.
You're double talking, Ms. Trejo. You're double talking.
He did not want to live with his grandparents.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about you. Why didn't you say to him, I can't stand your music. I can't stand your social life. Please, you move out and I'll stay in the apartment. Or you stay in the apartment, I'll move out. If you can't get another roommate, I'll pay the rent or the early termination fees.
We did have a communication in that. And sometimes I wouldn't be able to have a communication with him because of my overtime and the hours I was working. So I would leave a note to him, letting him know the problems that it would affect me in my environment, that me being there. So.
You can't act like a baby. You can't pack up your suitcase and leave when you have a lease, when you have an obligation. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Where did you go when you left him?
I had to went back.
I don't want you to think about where you went. I want you to just tell me where you went.
To my mom's house.
That's an answer. And are you still there?
Yes, I am.
And you don't pay rent?
Yes, I do.
How much rent do you pay?
$500.
I don't believe you. How's that? I don't believe you. I think that you're a slick talker. But I think you did the wrong thing with regard to this young man. You have no valid reason that you moved out of that apartment. None. The radio was too loud? Tell him to turn the radio down. You wrote him letters? Let me see the letters. I assume you kept a copy.
No, I didn't.
Well, of course not, because it's a lot of baloney. You don't like him having women in the apartment? That was your arrangement. Your arrangement was you were moving in as friends. That's why you moved into a 2-bedroom apartment instead of a 1-bedroom apartment. How much did you pay in fees to terminate the lease?
In total, I paid $4,145, but I'm only suing for $3,080 because I'm paying for my half of the rent for the 2 months.
Let me see your figures, please. How many months did you stay there, Mr. Saucedo, after she moved out?
The first week of March was my last week there.
And where did you go?
Back to my grandma's house.
How old are you?
22.
And you?
23.
That's where you belong. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,080. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may. Now, this is case number 63 on the calendar in the matter of Ricker versus Ricker.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mrs. Ricker, this lady is your husband's, I assume this is your husband?
Yes.
Your husband's former wife.
Yes.
And it is your claim that she has been harassing you, that
Yes.
she's filed false charges against you,
Absolutely.
seeking a temporary restraining order, and you are seeking damages.
Absolutely.
The former Mrs. Ricker says that everything that she said in her application for a restraining order is true. She is counterclaiming for harassment and for vandalism that she alleges you did to her car. So, how long were you married to Mr. Ricker?
12 years.
You have children?
We have 3 children.
How old are they?
14, 12, and 7.
When were you divorced?
Our paperwork went through in 2005, but I left in 2002.
And when did you marry?
2 years ago, March 29th.
Do you have children?
No, we do not.
On what date was this restraining order filed?
I believe it was the 20th
Of?
of March. The alleged incident was on the 17th, which would have been St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, I'm going to start with you. Tell me your first name
Sally?
so that we can differentiate between the Mrs. Rickers, your Sally. Tell me what happened on March 17th.
On March 17th, I was at an establishment near where I work. My car was parked.
What
in the parking lot.
establishment were you near where you worked?
I was at a nail salon called Tammy's Salon.
Okay.
And I'm looking out the window. I happen to look out and I see both Tyler and Angela drive up, and I'm
What
shocked. It was about 2:30. I saw Tyler get out of the car, and then I saw Angela get out of the passenger side door, and together they hurriedly sort of walked into my place of employment.
What is the name of your place of employment?
I work at Trader Joe's. I happen to be off this day.
So you were off on March 17th?
I was.
How far is your place of employment from where you live?
4 miles across town.
Did you have an appointment for your nails?
No.
What was the name of the person who did your nails?
You know, I'm sorry, I don't know. She's an Asian woman, and I don't know her name.
Does she usually do your nails?
No, I walk in.
So you don't go to any particular person?
Not at that place, no.
Is there any reason why you went to that place on that day, despite the fact that you weren't working that day?
I had some time to myself. As I'm still parenting my 3 children, I don't get a lot of time away.
Yeah, but this place is cross town. Why would you go cross town unless you have a particular nail lady who does your nails and
Well,
had an
it's
appointment rather
inexpensive.
than walking into some place that's closer and not cross town?
Well, it's inexpensive. I had a few hours to go do my nails and get some groceries and go home.
Where were you getting your groceries?
At Trader Joe's?
Did you actually go into Trader Joe's?
No, I decided not to go in.
Go ahead, Sally.
So?
Go ahead. I'm listening. So they went into Trader Joe's, and you were having your nails done by a person whose name you don't know, and you just happened to be looking out the window. Let me hear the rest.
Yes, so they continued to walk in, and they asked for me while they were in the store. And
How do you know
this
that?
Because I had a conversation with my son. I called my son after I saw them.
Just a second, you called your son where?
I called my son from my cell phone.
And where was he?
He was at his grandmother's house. And I asked them if he had heard from his dad that day, because we haven't heard or seen from Tyler in 9 months. And so I called my son to see if he had heard from his dad this day, to find out why he would be in town. And he said, yes, he was there with Angela, and they were looking for you at the store.
What's your son's name?
My son's name is Aaron.
How old is he?
He's 14.
Stand up, sir. Did you call your son that day, Mr. Richter?
I did.
Where did you reach him? On his cell phone?
Yes, on his cell phone. He was at my parents' house.
At your parents' house?
Yes.
And did you ask him where his mother was?
I asked if his mother was at work.
Why?
Because I had part of his birthday present to give to him.
Which part?
A credit card that had come in the mail after his birthday.
Did you see him that day?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because he was at my parents' house.
Are you not allowed to be there?
It's not a comfortable place for me to be, but I'm allowed to be there.
Well, if you wanted to give him a credit card, why did you ask where his mother was?
I was going to give it to her if she was there.
So did you end up giving him his birthday present?
I did not.
Why not?
I was told she was not there.
Did you go into Trader Vic's?
Trader Joe's?
Trader
Yes.
Joe's?
Yes, I did go into Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's, Trader. What?
Had a cup of coffee, and my wife and I did a little bit of shopping.
On the 17th of March, how long had it been since you'd seen your son?
I had seen him on his birthday, which was 1 month prior to that.
Where did you see him?
I saw him in Pleasanton at his mother's house.
Spent some time with him?
Yeah.
Why did you say he hadn't seen the children for 9 months?
Prior to that, Tyler had left Angela.
Listen to me. You told me that he hadn't seen the children for 9 months. He
Right.
said he saw his son in February, a month before. Well, which is true.
He did not come to our house.
I didn't care whether he came to your house or not. I don't care whether he saw the children at McDonald's. Did he see his son in February?
He did not see his son on his birthday.
I asked you a question. Did he see his son in February?
He did not see his son on his birthday.
Did he see his son in February of 2007?
He did not see his son on February 15th.
I didn't ask you about February 15th. I said, did he see his son in February?
No, he did not see his son in February.
I don't believe you.
He saw his son on March 28th when he left his wife Angela and came into town for a few days.
Are you on medication?
No, I am not.
There is no question in my mind that he saw his son in February, a month before the March incident. So when I asked you the question 4 times, you gave me an evasive answer. 4 times. Now I'm asking you one more time. It's very easy for me to find out. All I have to do is call Aaron. Did he see Aaron in February, anywhere, at any time during the month of February of 2007?
I'm telling you that he did not see his son in February. I would have known that because we were together. If he saw his son, it could have been at school.
Where did you see him in February?
I saw him the weekend before his birthday. I had a hotel room in Pleasanton at Extended Stay Hotels. His mother dropped them off there, all 3 of my children. Yes, they stayed with me for the entire weekend, including Monday, which was a holiday. Then I saw them later at her house in February.
Of 2007.
And I was there on his birthday.
In February 2007.
Yes.
Let's go, Sally.
That is not true.
Let's.
That is not true.
Just a second. You want me to call Aaron? Very simple to find out. He has a cell phone?
Yes, he does.
You want to change your mind before I call him on his cell phone? Do you want to change your mind before I call him on his cell phone? I hate to get him involved in this, but I'm prepared to do it because it's very important to me.
It's important to me to be able to speak as well. So
I asked you a question. Did he see his children in February of 2007? And I'm going to be able to find that out either through you or through Aaron, who I will reach on his cell phone.
On February 27th. Yes, in February, Tyler saw Aaron.
Fine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You say Angela goes on and off her medication for schizophrenia.
She knows nothing about schizophrenia.
You ever been diagnosed as schizophrenic?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Ricker claims her husband's ex-wife, Sally Ricker, falsely accused her of vandalizing her car. Sally is countersuing for car damage and lost wages.
Okay, now you're going to tell me that you saw Angela vandalize your car.
Yes, I did.
Is that you're going to continue? Let's go.
So on the way back out to the car, I was watching Angela as she had circled my car, and she started by standing and waiting for me, and then I saw her come around all 4 circles of my car with sort of a dragging movement with her arms swiping. And when I saw her out there, I had no idea what she could have been doing to my car. I knew that she may have been...
Don't tell me what you thought. I don't care what you thought.
Okay.
You have pictures of your car and you have a police report.
I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
These are the 2 that printed out. And then this is the police report. It spans all 4 doors of my car. Unfortunately, there are only 2 pictures that showed up.
Did you scratch her car?
No, I did not.
Tell me what happened when you left Trader Joe's.
We got into the car and we went home. We were going to my grandmother's. When I go from San Leandro to Stockton, where my family is, we usually stop at that Trader Joe's. It's right off the highway. It's very convenient for me. After all of this happened, it ruined my trip and I went home. I was devastated. I was very angry.
What do you mean after all of this happened? What
Well,
happened?
she told Erin on the phone that I had done this to her car, you know, involved a 14-year-old in this. It just really, it hit. And then when I got accused of this and a police report was put out, brought into court.
Can I see the underlying paperwork, please,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
went along with her application for a restraining order?
Yes, ma'am. Since we've established that, most of that is fallacious. It's false.
That
She
is
knows
not true.
nothing about bipolarity nor schizophrenia.
Okay. Now, in your application for an order of protection, which is, I assume, written in your own hand, you say Angela came to my place of work unannounced, and she later called my son and verbally abused him. Did you speak to Aaron later?
I did speak to Aaron.
Tell me what happened when you spoke to him.
I spoke to him and I asked him why he was saying those things to
Saying
his
what
father.
things?
That I had vandalized the car, that I'd gone into her work looking for her, harassing, stalking, using those words. Aaron and I have never had any problems. I haven't seen the children in almost a year because of this behavior. I've refused to allow them in my home when I'm there.
Why?
Because of her. She debriefs them every time they go home. It's a drama from Friday to Sunday. Phone calls, it's just never a drop-off pickup. It's always something, and I couldn't handle it. Our marriage has been in jeopardy for almost 2 years because of this.
In your application for a restraining order,
Yes.
you say Angela is explosive
Yes.
and goes on and off her medication for schizophrenia and bipolar illness.
That's according to my ex-husband.
Did you ever tell her that?
Absolutely not.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
When did he tell you that she was bipolar and schizophrenic?
When he left her in February, it was February 27th, he left because they were having a domestic dispute.
Okay, so he left and in February.
In February, yes.
Go ahead.
I know I won't live that one down. I'm sorry.
You won't.
I know. I'm sorry. So, anyway, his brother brought him into town. He didn't have any money. He didn't have a job. Nothing. Brought him into town. He said he wanted to see the kids. And from that point, he had not seen the kids for 9 months. Okay?
So why would you tell me that he didn't see the children in February when he did?
Well, no, because I'm sorry, I'm really nervous today. I'm very, very sorry.
That's nervous is not an answer,
It
madam.
was
You told me
February-
a very cogent story about everything that you allegedly saw with regard to this lady, how she stalked your car, how she bent down, how she had sweeping motions. But when I asked you a question a half a dozen times, you refused to give me an honest answer about when your husband last saw his children.
He wasn't at my house on February 15th, which was
I
Aaron's
didn't
birthday.
ask you anything about February 15th. I didn't even know when Aaron's birthday was.
Okay.
I asked you February. You said 9 months. He said February. Wasn't until I was planning to call Aaron and find out whether he had seen his father in February that you finally said he saw him in February. Do you understand that that gives me cause to pause?
Yes.
Well, it does. Do you take medication?
No, ma'am.
You ever been diagnosed as schizophrenic?
No, ma'am.
Bipolar?
No, ma'am. Your Honor, it was not February 27th that we separated. It was the beginning of the month. He was in Point Reyes. He decided to stay there with a friend at a bed and breakfast to do some work on the home. He was at her house. He called me from her house.
I understand
Yeah.
that. Have your children spent time with the plaintiff in her home?
Yes, they have.
And they've come home in one piece?
Basically.
Not for a year.
Shh. Others to be protected. Absolutely. Angela has no discretion when she is angry. My children should never be anywhere near this person.
They have a history of domestic violence.
Was there a history of domestic violence with you?
I left.
That's just a second. That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
So there was a history of domestic violence with you?
With my husband.
So, I got it. And you allowed that situation to go on more than once?
Yes.
You allowed your children to remain in a situation where there was domestic violence?
I left that.
You let it go on for a long time? Do you understand, Mrs. Richter? Do you have a full-time job?
I do.
How long have you been working for the same place?
This job I have currently is 4 months.
Do you have a significant other or a husband?
No, I do not.
Are you working? Take your hands out of your pockets.
Not right now, no.
Why not? Is not an answer.
I had a job up until April 1st working on airplanes. I was let go from that job.
Up until April 1st, were you paying child support?
I was.
How much?
$411 a month was taken from my checks.
How long had you been paying the $411?
Only for a month at that point, and then there was a large gap between that point and the last time I held a job.
Well, Mr. Richter, that's unacceptable, sir.
I understand that.
Very unacceptable. No, not
I'm
unacceptable.
injured, Your Honor. I'm injured.
Very unacceptable, sir.
I do understand that. I was injured at my last job.
Yeah?
And the injury prevented me from working.
What was the last job?
The last job was working for Vortex Stores.
Yeah?
And
what year?
From June to August of 2006.
Well, that's a couple of months, sir.
I understand that. I was injured. I had a severe back injury.
So that you were out of work for 2 months?
I was out of work until I got a job in March of 2007.
Who supports you?
Workman's Comp was supposed to be, but the company that hired me is fighting all of that, and so Workman's Comp did not pay my payments. That's currently
So you've been
in litigation.
You've been separated from your former wife since 2002.
Since 2002.
Since 2002, until you were injured. Just listen to me carefully. Until you were injured in June of 2006, were you regularly paying child support?
I was. I regularly paid child support when I had a job.
That's not my question. Don't play with me.
Oh, I'm not playing
You two
with
people
you, Your
deserve
Honor.
each other. You two people deserve each other. Not when you were working. How old are you?
I'm 40.
You have 3 children.
I understand.
There is no question that you have to be employed regularly. And I don't care whether you work at McDonald's or if you don't have another job, if you work at a car wash, drying cars, if you can't do something else. You have 3 children. No wonder she's furious with you. You work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a registered nurse.
So you earn a reasonable living?
Yes, I do.
So you support the family?
Yes, I do.
Right. No wonder she's furious with you. Collect cans if you have to, but you send money. And if she's angry with you, unfortunately, she took it out on the wrong person. Because I don't believe you, madam, that you saw her vandalize your car. I don't believe you. The case was dismissed, was it not?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, did anybody else ask you the questions that I asked you about the name of this person who did your nails, why you traveled cross town to get your nails done? Was the person who tried this case?
No, he did not.
He did not?
No.
Because he doesn't understand that you don't travel cross town to just walk into a nail salon. You can walk into a nail salon anywhere. You don't have to travel 4 miles cross town to do that. A lot of baloney. I don't believe you. I believe that you're angry with him. And I believe that you're angry with her because she's an enabler, because she's working. He's not, at least on the books anywhere, and he's not paying support. I got that you're angry. But you can't do this. This is nonsense. And I don't believe you.
Well, I saw it happen.
No, it didn't. I think that you probably even scratched your own car. But I don't believe that she scratched your car. I don't believe that this professional woman scratched your car.
I wouldn't have done that to
No
my car.
way. No way. And when you lie to me once, I don't believe you again. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Start working, sir. That's what you're supposed to do. The counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. It's case number 50 on the calendar in the matter of Ramirez versus Flynn. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Ramirez, you and the defendant dated and, I gather, lived together for a brief period of time. You had 1 child with you at the time?
Yes.
And it is your claim that she, after an argument, threw you out with your child and kept your property. The defendant says that when you left, you owed her some money, and instead of the money, you said to her, just keep my stuff. I don't want it. sell it. She's also counterclaiming because she says you assaulted her, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When did you move in with Miss Flynn, Mr. Ramirez?
She moved in with me about 4 months after we met to my home that I was renting.
In what year was that you moved in together?
This year.
2007.
2005.
When was it?
2005.
And when did you move into the apartment that you left?
We moved in at the end of July of 2006.
And you have one child. How
Yes,
old is
ma'am.
that child?
She's 8.
And you have custody of her?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened when you left, sir.
Well, when she kicked me out, me and my daughter, she just kicked me and my daughter out.
Well, tell me about that day.
While we were talking, and I have an invention.
You have an invention?
Yes, ma'am, that me and my brother came up with. And Miss Flynn stated that she wanted 10% of something that doesn't exist. And I said, no, how am I going to give you 10% of something I don't even have? So that's where it started, and that upset her, like, just totally upset her. And she said, what? And I said, how am I going to give you 10% of something I don't even have? I can't.
What do you mean you don't even have? You had an invention you just told
Well,
me.
yes, ma'am, but it's just in the process now. I haven't...
Well, I assume that what she was saying is that in exchange for whatever financial contribution she was making, were you working at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
You were both working?
Yes.
Well, I assume she was saying that because you lived together as a couple, she wanted 10% if anything happens with this invention. And you said, no, I don't think you're entitled to that. So you're entitled to say that to her, Mr. Ramirez. If she wants 10% or 50%, then you got to get married. Then that's what the state does. The state says, well, then property becomes community property or joint property. But you're not married, she's not entitled to anything. So you're absolutely within your rights to say, I don't want to give you 10%. Is that when she threw you out?
Yes, ma'am.
What did she say?
Get out of my house. You and your daughter can get out of my house.
And is that what you did? You left?
Yes, ma'am.
And you left your things?
Yes, ma'am.
What things did you leave there?
I have a list of things, numerous things.
They better be big items, sir, because I don't get involved with saucepans and dishes.
That's just some of the things. That's not the personal belongings, like pictures and...
I'm going to cross certain things out here, Mr. Ramirez, that I think are ridiculous. Charbroiled barbecue with 2 propane tanks. Prairie dining. Did you purchase all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you purchase them while you and the defendant were living together?
No, ma'am. Prior.
You had these things?
Everything on that list is prior to our relationship.
Let us take a look at this. Are any of those things that you purchased while you were living together?
Probably some DVDs and CDs.
Other than that, those are all his things, correct?
Yeah.
You have to return them to him, all of them. Do you understand?
Oh, there's no neon picture.
Okay, cross it off.
There is a neon picture, Your Honor.
Cross it off. Okay, good. Inconsequential, all of those things within 5 days, sir, you arranged to have the movers there to pick them up. Isn't that nice?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now, let's get to your counterclaim. You say he owes you money, and he assaulted you. Go.
Actually, the invention, the alleged invention that he has is something that my doctor asked him to make, and I actually have a picture of it.
What does that have to do with anything?
That's why I had asked him for 10% of his alleged
You're entitled
invention.
to ask.
So
he's entitled to say no.
My counterclaim is what he owes me when he was not working for October, November, and December.
You were not working October, November, December?
October and November, Your Honor.
And December. Well,
just a second. Were you working in December, sir?
No, ma'am.
So you didn't contribute to the household for those 3 months?
No.
So how much money do you owe her?
I don't feel I owe her anything.
Why not?
That's the way relationships work, Your Honor.
Why? Did she work all the time?
No, she doesn't work.
She doesn't work at all?
No.
How do you support yourself?
I receive disability and Social Security.
What's the nature of your disability?
I have a blood condition that affects my ankles to where I get a lot of blood clots, and I'm in the hospital a lot. I get a lot of infections.
So you were supporting the household and paying the mortgage on your Social Security disability?
And child support.
You have children?
I have one child.
How old?
9. Also,
just a second. Was your arrangement when you moved in that you would pay half the mortgage, sir?
No, ma'am.
What was your arrangement?
Just that we're going to move in together and help each other out as a relationship does.
No. How did you handle the finances, Mr. Ramirez?
Well, I was working prior, and then I just...
When you were working prior, how did you handle the finances?
We just share them.
How did it work? You came home and you all both deposited checks into a joint account?
No, ma'am.
Well, how did it work? I want to know.
I would hand her cash and pay the bills.
How much?
It just depended on how much the bills were at the time.
Mr. Ramirez?
Yes.
How much would you hand her each month?
Maybe $1,200.
Each month?
No, not each month.
Well, that's
When
what
I
I'm
could.
asking you, sir. You don't play with me. Mr. Ramirez,
Yes.
you think you're smarter than I am?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ramirez, you owe her $1,800. What else?
He also owes me for his vehicle insurance from May to January, which I do have invoices for.
Just a second. Why did you pay in May? He was working in May.
Because I had added him to my insurance because he couldn't get it on his own. And with the money that he was giving
No, my
me-
darling. Listen to me. In May, he was working, so he was giving you money. In May, June, July, August, he was working. He was giving you money.
Not
you
enough.
Pay the. Who cares? That's not something I'm getting involved with. So far, he owes you $1,800. Period.
Okay.
What's next?
So he owes me then $120 for vehicle insurance for October, November, and December, ma'am, when he was not working.
October, November, and December. You had a car?
Yes, ma'am.
She was paying the insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And you weren't paying
Helping.
anything?
And
But-
January.
Yeah.
Just, you weren't paying anything?
Not a penny.
Okay. How much a month?
$40 a month.
Okay. So it was 3 months or 4 months?
4.
160. What's next?
The satellite dish was a household bill.
Forget it. You still have the satellite dish, no?
I still have it.
Keep going.
I'm also countersuing for the assault.
Well, let me hear about the assault.
Okay. One night I was just in my house, in my room with my friend.
When?
Approximately the 14th of January.
After he had left?
After he had left. He came back into my house. He still had a key because his stuff was there, so I didn't change the locks. I changed my alarm code. I thought that was good enough. He came in anyhow. I had my room closed. When I opened my bedroom door to see who had come in, he was already right there. And he asked me,
What were you doing there?
I went to pack my daughter's things for her room so I can...
Did you call her first?
No.
Why not?
I have a key.
You have no right to do that. You're not a tenant there. You hadn't paid rent. You have no right to go
Yes.
in.
When I received my first check, after I got my job, I handed her my first check.
No.
What date?
You didn't.
What date?
Like January,
No.
first week of February.
You mean after you moved out, you handed her a
Oh,
check?
no. No, Your Honor.
Baloney, Mr. Ramirez. Baloney. You had no right being there. None. So what happened?
He said, who's in there? And I told him, none of your business. He pushed the door open like this, and the door hit me in my face because I was on the other side of the door. I proceeded to push the door and tell him that he wasn't going to come in, that it was none of his business. And with his strength, he pushed me into a dresser that I had by the door, which bruised my
Why
arm.
did you do that, sir?
I did
I
not, Your
have
Honor.
pictures of my lip where the door busted my
Can
lip.
I see it, please?
And my witness was in my room. When he saw that it was just my friend Diana, he left. I told him I was calling the police. I had the police on the phone, and
Temper,
I
Mr.
also
Ramirez.
have a statement from
Temper,
my-
Mr. Ramirez. Ever been arrested?
Yes.
Domestic violence?
Yes.
What do you have to say for yourself, sir? There's no question in my mind that you entered the house, that was a trespass, and if you assaulted her, that rises to the level of burglary. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, I want you to tell me, did you lose your temper?
No, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what you did. There's no question that you hurt her.
I entered the room, the house, and intend to gather my daughter's things from her room and some of my belongings. And then she came out. She said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "Get in my house." I handed her the key, and I left.
No.
Didn't push the door open?
He
No,
didn't
Your
give me a
Honor.
key.
Didn't push the door?
No.
Didn't cut her lip?
No.
You have a police report?
No, ma'am, I didn't let the police come. So, but he was not there to get his daughter things. He called me later after he left and said, "Why did you do that? I just wanted to sit down and hang out with you and talk. I thought we could talk." And I said, "Why would you think that?"
He doesn't think that you're allowed to say no.
Well, I am saying no.
Yes.
And,
I think maybe
yeah.
he gets that now. Want to step up? Tell me your last name.
Kalish?
Ms. Kalish, you were there on the evening that Mr. Ramirez came into the house?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
We were in her room just watching TV, and we heard the front door open. She got up to see who entered the house, and before she got to the door, he was already standing there. She opened the door, and he pushed the door open and pushed her.
Did you say anything about calling the police?
She did call the police. I was there. She
And what
called
happened?
the police, telling them that he had came in the house without permission, but the police didn't show up.
They never showed up?
Well, she didn't want them to come over.
Why?
The calls can take an hour to 2 or 3 hours, and I didn't want to waste their time. He was already gone. I felt safe in the house, and I knew that I could just call back.
Why is this picture dated February 9th?
because that's when I printed the picture. And my digital camera, once I changed the batteries, the date doesn't set. So I have a digital camera. I have the camera with me. I didn't print the photos.
Did you seek any medical treatment?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You owe her $1,960. Do you understand? And you can go pick up your stuff within 5 days, the stuff that's on this list. Don't go back and bother her anymore. She doesn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. Do you understand?
It's mutual.
It's finished. Over. Got it?
Mutual.
Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He messed up. I mean, he had a good relationship. He had a really good thing. And he doesn't have it anymore.
She kicked us out into the snow, actually, where we didn't have no vehicle, no money, no cell phone.
It wasn't snowing.
Me and my daughter had to ride our bike over a mile to the gas station so I can call somebody to pick us up.
They didn't go out to the street. I mean, he went to his brother's house.
She's just a mean person.
He chose to make out of himself while his daughter was there.
I told her I didn't love her unconditionally, and she just went ballistic.
I don't feel bad about that at all.
She can move on, and I can move on, and go on with our lives.
I hope so.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Maffitt versus Simmons. Step forward.
Rachel Maffitt is suing her ex-boyfriend, Brad Simmons, for unpaid rent and bills while they lived together. Brad claims he owes her nothing.
Ah, Bird, I really am so glad I don't use this internet thing. Miss Maffitt, you met the defendant on something called MySpace.
Yes.
Which is on the internet where people go to meet each other rather than, meeting each other for a cup of coffee or whatever. You exchange information. And you knew him for a brief period of time, and he moved in.
Yes, he asked to move in.
And it is your claim that while he was there, he paid no rent and bills. He owes you $2,000 for the time that he lived with you. Mr. Simmons says that there was never a financial agreement when he moved in. It was only when he left, unceremoniously, according to Miss Maffitt. You left her a note?
No, ma'am.
What did you do?
I packed up all my stuff while she was gone because of the fact that she was a little unstable. I didn't feel comfortable staying there. I packed all my stuff, so I headed out of there, and then I went back to the house and waited for her to come home. And then I told her face to face.
Oh, okay. Well, not as bad as I thought.
Your Honor, I do have a note.
Oh, you do have a note?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see the note. When did you get the note?
When I came home and found all of his stuff gone from the house.
The note was only...
Okay. So you write this letter because you believed she was involved with a couple of other people at the same time she was involved with you. It's a very hurt letter, and you say, I can't talk to you right now. You want to communicate with me through MySpace because you're too hurt. You couldn't trust her. Okay, got it. When did you move in, Mr. Simmons?
It was sometime before Christmas. I don't know the exact date.
You remember the date?
I do not. It was probably after 3 or 4 dates, though.
Sometime in mid-December.
Yes, ma'am.
Of 06. And you moved in at her invitation?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you move out?
I moved out, it was the first week of February.
So let's say
It was before Valentine's Day.
You remember when he moved out?
It was before Valentine's Day, but he was over at my house probably 5 days a week. After that, he promised that we would get back together, and
so he lived with you
me.
maybe 6 weeks.
Right.
That is untrue. I did not go after.
Did anybody live with you before, Miss Maffitt?
Not in that apartment, no.
Has anybody lived with you since?
No.
So you weren't looking for somebody to share the bills with?
No, I was not.
So what money do you think he owes you? For the 6 weeks that he was there?
He lived there for probably 8 weeks, and
6 weeks. Keep going.
And he did say that he would pay for half of the bills. He actually asked me if he could live with me. He says that he thinks it may be the L word, and so that he wanted to come live with me because his family was unstable, and he said that his father was beating him.
That is untrue, Your Honor.
Listen to me. He left. You have no downside.
Well, I paid for all of the food. He eats probably enough for 3 people a day.
Yeah.
And he did promise me to pay $2,000 from a bonus that he was going to be getting from his new job. And every time I would go to pay bills, he would say, oh, no, it's okay, you're going to get that other money, so we can do this instead and have fun and eat out and things like that. So I did spend money on things that I normally wouldn't have if I were living alone. I work 2 jobs and I am trying to finish school, so I'm just barely eking by.
Mr. Simmons says he gave you $500 while he was there.
He gave me $300 when he first moved in, which we promptly used on food and going out to eat.
Was it 3 or 5?
It was $500. I gave her $300 when I moved in, like she said, and then at another point, about 2 days before we broke up, we went out to eat with my uncle at Johnny's Pizza, and I gave her another $200. There was never agreement. I was just trying to...
I believe you that you gave her $500. Do you feel, Mr. Simmons, as if you owe her any money?
No, ma'am.
Was there ever an agreement for you to pay rent there?
No, ma'am. When I moved out, I figured the $500 I gave her, plus I maintained the upkeep of the house, and I cooked. So I feel that's...
You don't get credit for that.
I feel that the money that I gave her at the time that I was there was...
You gave her $500?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your rent, by the way?
My rent is $580 a month.
He's paid you enough, Miss Moffett.
Miss Judge Judy, I actually have an email here stating that he was going to give me the $2,000.
Oh, then I'll see it.
I never sent an email. She did have access to my email password.
No, I did not.
Because it was saved on her computer.
Just a second.
Judge, I also have emails saying that he would lie in court, that he admitted to lying in court. He admitted to cheating on me with men.
That's untrue, Your Honor.
Oh, listen, I'm not interested
that he
in
wasn't working
I'm
when
not
he was
interested in that.
working.
It has nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing to do with me. The only thing that has to do with me is whether or not you just refuse to put a period and say, made a mistake, shouldn't have invited this guy in to live with me after knowing him for just 4 dates. You have no downside. He gave you $500. He was there for 6 weeks, and I'm not sure that you wrote this thing yourself. Case is dismissed, Miss Moffett. Put a period. It's over. Goodbye.
You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 68 on the calendar in the matter of Whitaker versus Canavan.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Whitaker, the defendant was your best friend, and it is your claim that she stole $800 out of a duffel bag. In that duffel bag was also some sort of hair straightening device. So you're suing her for the value of that. First of all, why was there cash in a duffel bag?
Because we were out all day long, so I left the cash in the duffel bag so that I didn't lose it, because $800 is a lot to have carrying around.
What was $800 doing in your duffel bag?
I had used it to get my car fixed. My boyfriend had lent it to me so I could fix my car.
When did your boyfriend give you $800 to fix your car?
He's over in Iraq right now, so he had sent me his ATM card with his PIN number, so he had let me withdraw the money from the ATM.
Why didn't you leave the money home?
Because I hadn't been home in the time that I had withdrew the money.
Oh, you said, I withdrew the money on approximately 5 separate occasions.
Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm asking you is, why didn't you leave the money home? The answer is not that you weren't home. You were home in between those 5 different days that you deposited the money.
No, ma'am, I was not. I was with Danielle the entire time. I had not been home once.
Over how many days did you withdraw the money?
2. 13th and the 14th of March.
So you were keeping it in the duffel bag to fix your car?
Yes, ma'am. The duffel bag was at Danielle's house the entire time.
Why are you looking so ridiculously funny?
I'm not. I just think it's funny because it's not. None of it's true. I'm just. I just know that none of it's true, so I'm just listening to what she's saying.
Who else lives in Danielle's house?
At the time, only her sister's boyfriend.
What's your sister's boyfriend's name?
Zach.
Why was he staying with you?
It's my sister and her boyfriend's house. She moved in when they started dating. Now they're engaged, so.
So you were staying with them?
Yes, I was living with my sister in Spring Hill.
They weren't living with her. She moved in with her sister and her sister's boyfriend.
Correct.
On what date did you find the duffel bag missing?
The 15th, we'd had a fight. My duffel bag was still at her house. She had spent the night at my house the previous night. We had a fight, so I made her leave. And like 20 minutes after, I realized. So I called her, and she told me that I wasn't getting it back.
Okay, you made her leave. What did you say to her?
We just got into a fight. We were screaming at each other, and she just left. And I told her, just get out.
What did you say when you called her 20 minutes later?
I just told her that because I had clothes and my hair straightened and everything, I just told her that I needed it all back, and she told me.
No, just a second. Did you say anything about cash?
No, ma'am.
You just said my duffel bag is there and I have stuff in it?
Yes.
What did you say? Tell me what you
Just
said.
that my duffel bag was still there and I needed it back.
And what did she say?
She told me that I wasn't going to get it back.
Why did you say that to her?
I did not say that to her.
Yes, you
at all.
did. There's no
I
question
didn't.
in my mind you said that to
No,
her.
ma'am, there's no question in my mind that I didn't say it. There was no phone calls. There was about 6 text messages first on the phone, and then it was followed by her calling me and threatening me.
Okay, well,
so
what did the text?
I didn't call her at all.
I didn't say you called her.
Okay.
I didn't say you called her.
No, I know.
You're not paying attention.
I just said
You're
she
not
called
paying
me. I was just letting you know she was the one that called me.
That's what she said.
Okay. I was just confirming the fact that she was right, that she did call me. Oh, my God.
Something wrong with your affect. Pay attention.
No.
Put on your listening ears. What did you say when she called you and told you about the duffel bag?
She didn't say anything about the duffel bag.
What did she call you for?
She told, when we were previously at her house, she mentioned something.
No. When you had a fight and
Okay.
you left.
Yeah.
Listen to me very
Uh-huh.
carefully. When you had a fight and you left, She called you. That you just told me happened. What did she say when she called you?
She said that she to come back to the house, that she was going to stab me. It had nothing to do about the duffel bag.
She said, come back to the house because I'm going to stab you?
Yeah. And then after her phone call, I called up her mother and let her know that she called me and said that. This is my best friend since I was about 5 years old. I went to his house. I was crying, upset. It's about 25 minutes back to my sister's house. I didn't want to drive back there upset. So I knew, you know, you just don't want to drive when you're upset. So I stopped at his house, and that was about the time she did like 6 text messages. And about 5 minutes after I got to his house, he was actually sitting there when she made that phone call. And then I called her mother, and I actually called the police. And I told them that I didn't have time to do a full report because I had to get back up to my sister's house to have her car back so she could get to work. But I told them that I was scared and that I just wanted to call in and at least let them know and give them names. And they said, okay.
Where's her duffel bag?
Her duffel bag was still at my house. But it takes about 25 minutes there and back. So I didn't want to go all the way back up there and then come back.
I just asked you a question. Where was the duffel bag?
It was still at my house.
And what happened when you got to your house?
Got to my house. My sister used her car, and I stayed there.
What did you do with the duffel bag?
It stayed there. I didn't touch the duffel bag.
How did your sister get hold of her hair straightener?
Because I lived there. About 2 days later, I moved out, and I left it there by accident. And my sister hadn't brought it back yet.
Okay.
But I don't.
How did your sister get her hair straightener? Because I read your answer.
Because
what?
I lived with her.
Well, what was she doing going into the duffel bag? Was she a thief?
Her and she let me use the straightener before we left to go to her.
The duffel bag was, the hair straightener was in the duffel bag.
No, it wasn't. It was in my bathroom plugged in because right before we left to go hang out with a few of our friends, go back towards her house, we did our hair, so it was left in my bathroom plugged in. And we turned it off.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So now where's the duffel bag?
On my rack in my bedroom because I didn't have a closet. I had a rack with my clothes on it, so it was on the bottom rack.
So who stole her money?
There was no money in it.
Oh, yeah, she's going to show me proof that she took money out.
Oh, I bet she did take money out, but there was no cash in the duffel bag.
How do you know that?
One, because...
How do you know that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm very reluctant to make a judgment that somebody took property, because to label somebody a thief, as far as I'm concerned, is a very serious thing.
And later today...
One night we hung out and had relations.
When was it?
About January 15th.
I assume that either you were disappointed with January 15th, or you found his behavior somewhat bizarre.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Elizabeth Whitaker claims former friend Danielle Kahneman stole $800 from her duffel bag. Danielle says Elizabeth spent the $800 on drugs.
Madam, I asked you a simple question. You're giving me all kinds of mumbo-jumbo. How did you know there was no cash in the duffel bag?
Because my friend Sam called me up and said that Beth was calling her up to ask her for cocaine. I was worried about it, and that's when I called her boyfriend. But she was my best friend. If there was cash in her duffel bag, don't you think she would have said something to me when she asked me to bring back the duffel bag?
Not if you had just had a fight.
Okay, well, 3 weeks after, when she actually came and picked it up, she never said one word to my mom or anything about the cash either. I have not heard one thing about cash.
Well,
ever.
when was the first time did you hear about cash?
When I got served, when I found out about this.
When was the first time, Miss Whitaker, that you advised anybody that there was cash in that duffel bag?
I had told my mother, and the night that she had called my mother had questioned her about the money in the bag.
Could you stand up, please? Mrs. Whitaker?
Yes.
You spoke to the defendant?
Yes.
When?
The night they had the fight.
Tell me about the conversation.
She called me, actually, to get a number out of Beth's phone that she wanted.
And what did she say to you? Tell me what she said.
That's exactly what she said. Can you get a number out of the phone for me?
Whose number was it?
I don't know. I didn't ask her.
Go ahead.
And I said to her, Danielle, what happened to the money? And she launches into this big thing that she didn't even know Beth had any money, and if Beth never told her there was any money. And I said, Danielle, she's been with you for the last 3 or 4 days. You're the only one she's been with. I didn't take her to the bank, so you must have.
What did she say?
She said, well, the only thing I can think of is that I stopped at the grocery store and Beth wanted to wait in the car, and that's when she must have done it. And I said, Danielle, that doesn't make any kind of sense. And she says, well, you know, Beth hasn't been making any sense lately. She's been acting really crazy, and that's what people on drugs do. And she goes on to tell me that we can get her help and that we can get her into rehab. And I said, Danielle, what happened to the money? And Danielle said to me, well, the drug dealer must have it. And I said, well, you must have taken her to the drug dealer because I know I didn't. And then she said, well, I don't know how she got to the drug dealer. And then she says to me that she contacted Beth's boyfriend, Richard. She said that she and Richard had been friends for a long time and she wasn't going to let this come between her, you know, affect her and Richard's friendship. And she said that she called Richard and set up a three-way conversation, and Beth didn't know that Richard was on the other line. And she said that she confronted Beth about spending the money on drugs, and she said that she just couldn't believe that Beth had spent $800 of Richard's money on drugs. And I said to her, Danielle, how did you know it was $800? And she said, because Richard told me. And I said, Danielle, Richard's in Iraq. He doesn't have a cell phone. You couldn't have called him. Then she said that her mother was trying to call her and she would call me back, and needless to say, I never heard from her again.
You still have the boyfriend in Iraq?
Yes, ma'am.
You have something you want to say to me?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, when she had called, I was there for the conversation, when they had the argument, she came to my house crying, that she was like, I could hear her over the line, she was screaming very loudly at her, like, you know, threatening her. It's like, you need to come back to the house so I can kick you. You know, I'm going to stab you, You know, she came to my house in Iraq. I mean, I couldn't believe, like, what she could probably have said to her to, like, you know,
I can't believe it either. Now you can sit down. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Did you have that conversation with Mrs. Whitaker?
Some of it, yes.
What didn't you say to her?
I don't know what I didn't say to her, but I know what I did say to her. She didn't ask me about an actual amount of money. What she asked was, she told me she found some ATM.
So you knew about the, just a second. So you knew about the money, the missing money, listen to me. So you knew about the missing money the same day as it was missing.
I knew that she said she found withdrawal receipts, so I didn't know anything about the duffel bag, cash being in the duffel bag. She just told me she found withdrawal receipts and said that Beth spent some money. I had no idea there would be money at my house. There couldn't have been money at my house, because there was no conversation about that until obviously now.
No,
Her mom
there was a conversation about it with her mother the same day that it happened. And usually yes, it had to do with that money.
Not with my house, though. She called me up and said that she found withdrawal receipts and she wanted to know if I knew anything about it. I told her no, that I never brought her to the bank, and that's all that I knew.
And you didn't discuss with her a three-way conversation?
No, I don't have her boyfriend's cell phone number.
All I'm asking you is, you didn't discuss a three-way conversation with her?
No.
No, I don't believe you.
Okay.
How's that?
How's
that? Don't believe you. Okay. I'm very, very reluctant on circumstantial type evidence when other people have access to property to make a judgment that somebody took property. I'm reluctant to do that because to label somebody a thief, as far as I'm concerned, is a very serious thing. There is no question in my mind that you either took it or know who took the money out of her duffel bag. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
All right, let's go. Who would have $800 cash in a duffel bag and not come and get it for 3 weeks?
I tried to get everything back, and it was just, she just kept pulling me in circles.
Her boyfriend's away in Iraq. She was spending a lot of time stuck on the computer talking to him.
We did get into an argument about me talking to my boyfriend.
She was just spending more time on the phone with him than she was spending time with me.
I miss him.
I don't know exactly what was going on with the drugs, but if there was something going on, then, I mean, I feel sorry for her.
She's the one with the drug problem.
We were best friends.
I do feel sorry for her, though, honestly, and just, I hope everything works out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Torres versus De Jesus. Step forward, please.
23-year-old Ileana Torres is suing her ex-fiancé, 25-year-old Benny De Jesus, for a loan to pay his child support. Ileana says Benny was in danger of going to jail for the second time.
How old are you, Miss Torres?
23.
And you, sir?
25.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a professional esthetician.
What about you, Mr. De Jesus? What do you do?
An electrician.
How many children do you have, Miss Torres?
Just one.
How old?
He's 5.
Does he live with you?
Yes, he does.
Who supports him?
I do.
How many children do you have, Mr. De Jesus?
One, Your Honor.
Where does that child live?
He lives with his mother right now.
And who supports your child?
Well, I pay child support every month right now, and she has physical custody of him.
Do you pay child support for Miss Torres's child?
No, ma'am.
Because it's not your child.
Yes, ma'am.
It would be stupid for you to pay child support for Miss Torres's child because the child doesn't belong to you.
Yes.
Child has a mother and a father,
Yeah.
and the mother and father should pay child support.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what your lawsuit is about, Miss Torres. You and Mr. DeJesus had the unfortunate experience of being engaged to each other for a period of time. And while you were so involved, Mr. DeJesus fell behind in his child support, among other things. But this is what your lawsuit is about. And is your claim that you made a loan to him so that he wouldn't go to jail to pay his child support.
Yes.
Now, Mr. DeJesus says she paid the child support. You acknowledge.
Yes, I did. Yes, she paid it for me.
But it was a gift. Now do you understand my preliminary questions?
Oh, yes. Clear as a bell.
So I asked you a couple of seconds ago, Mr. DeJesus, you wouldn't pay child support for her child, right?
Yeah.
Because the child's not yours.
Nope.
Child has a mother and a father.
Yep.
Parents are supposed to pay for their own children.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And if you don't pay child support for your child, you're a bum.
Yeah, basically.
Perfect. How much did you give him to pay the child support?
$2,400.
And how much time was he facing in jail if he didn't pay the child support?
2 years.
Ah.
It would have been his second time going to jail for not paying his child support.
That's a bum times 2. Now, Miss Torres, I mean, he's easy to take care of. You know, I could take care of 10 of him with this pinky. 10 of him. My question to you is, you don't look like a marginal person, articulate. You look somebody in the eye when you speak to them. You have a child that you support, lives with you. What are you doing with him? I mean, are things so desperate out there that you got to pick a bum who's got one child and has fallen behind twice in child support to the extent that the second time they were going to put him in jail for 2 years? You're going to get your $2,400 because that's what he owes you. Because he doesn't want to pay for your child and you shouldn't have to pay for his. Right, Mr. DeJesus?
Yeah,
right.
It wasn't $2,400. She only gave me $1,000. The rest of it I raised myself.
Show me the $2,400, Miss Torres.
She knows that it was $1,000 that she gave me.
This is the check.
And the rest of it was raised
This is the check
up
that
and
I
all
had
put
signed.
together.
This is where it came out of my son's bank account.
Because the money
and
was
it got,
deposited
no,
in there
it
so that
was
we could
not.
write a check out for it because I
and
can't get cash.
And I got my money in there.
She knows that the reason the money was deposited was so that I could write a check out because I had to have record of the money that I'm paying.
No,
for
and
my
I
child
have
support.
a piece of paper.
Well, no time around the withdrawal of this $2,400, sir, did anybody put in $1,500?
It was sporadically put in. It was $200 here. As I kept raising the money, I would put the money into the account because the court date was coming. When the court
You
date
should
came,
have kept better
we
records.
deposited.
What kind of an excuse did you give to the mother of your child every time you didn't send money?
I mean,
Checks in the mail.
We both spoke. We speak every time we see each other. She knows if I'm late and when she's going to get her money.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. DeJesus. Yesterday, did you eat dinner?
Yeah.
And you have a cell phone?
No.
You have a regular phone?
No, actually, no. Thanks to Miss Torres here, I don't have nowhere to live actually right now.
I was paying for everything for you.
She took my car.
Miss Torres,
threw my clothes away.
Does he have a problem that's eating up the money that he's earning from being an electrician?
From what I'm concerned, I don't know. But
You don't
when
know.
I met him, he did have problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
All I'm doing is telling you, I know. And you have a responsibility because you have a 5-year-old child. You're only supposed to bring the right kind of people into their lives. You got it?
Yes.
Judge for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,400. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is case number 51 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Leathers. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Mr. Davis, the defendant is your former wife, and it is your claim that she filed a false accusation against you, and she was seeking to get a restraining order against you. You were forced to hire an attorney. The case was subsequently dismissed. You want her to pay your attorney's fees and damages.
Yes, ma'am.
Your former wife says the accusations that she made in the application for the protective order were true, and she says that you were threatening and abusive, and she's going to prove that to me. You have one child together who is now 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
You've been divorced since when?
Divorce was final January 2006.
And when did you separate?
June of 2004.
Reading between the lines of your complaint and the defendant's answer, there has been some acrimonious stuff going on between the two of you, at least in part owing to the fact that you are in substantial arrears in your child support.
That's her attention, yes. Yes.
I'm reading between the lines,
Okay.
sir, because I'm an experienced family court practitioner, that if you're divorced, that means you don't like each other anymore. Are you remarried?
No, ma'am.
Are you remarried?
Yes, I am.
So, she's not mad because you have a life and she doesn't. She's happy. She's married. Are you happily married?
Actually, my husband and I are separated.
Not happily married.
But we are best friends, and I see him about 3 times a week.
All right. But she's not mad at you because she doesn't have a life, and you do. She's mad at you, sir, because you don't pay regular child support.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes.
I agreed to pay child support from the day I left of $600 a month. I've been paying that up until I got laid off in June 11th of 2006. I phoned Miss Leathers. I told her I was laid off, that I could not afford the that I could not afford the $600 a month. We could handle it one of 2 ways. Once I received what my unemployment benefits would be, I would give you a set amount every month until I find a job.
When did you find, listen to me, when did you find another job?
January.
January of what?
Of this year.
What kind of work do you do?
I do aircraft fueling technicians. I refuel aircrafts. I work on fuel cells of aircrafts.
How did you support yourself between June of 2006 and January of 2007? Who were you living with?
My girlfriend Patricia, and I was receiving unemployment benefits.
So you had no rent?
Correct.
How much were you sending the defendant between June and January?
Well, Your Honor,
that requires a figure.
They were taking the money directly out of my unemployment benefits. When I told her I could not afford the $600 a month, I told her that I would go back to family court and I would file a petition for modify my child support.
Why should you get a modification?
I'm no longer making the money I was making before. Nowhere near it.
Then get 2 jobs.
I have 2 jobs. Your Honor, I have my daughter 12 to 14. I have my daughter almost 50% of the time.
That is untrue.
If you interrupt him again, it's not going to go well.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You agreed to pay her $600 a month. Your divorce was final in January 2006. According to you, up until January of 2006, you were paying $600 a month because you separated in 2004.
Yes, ma'am.
All of a sudden, divorce is final, and 5 months later, you say, I can't pay you the $600 a month anymore. Now I need a modification.
I was laid off from work.
That's fine. You can be laid off from work. That doesn't mean you can't work. When you have children, you have to say, I don't care what I do. I drive a cab, I collect cans, I go to a car wash, I do whatever else I have to do to contribute to the support of my child. Who do you work for?
I'm a school teacher.
She teaches, she contributes to the support of the child. I have to work and contribute to the support of the child. And if I can't do it fueling planes, I'll do it doing something else until I can get a job refueling planes. Now, having said that, sir, all I said to you was that's the reason for the acrimony, because you haven't been paying child support regularly. That being the case, she's going to tell me about why she filed this protective order and when. When did you file this protective order, Miss Leathers?
The middle of November 2006.
And on what basis did you file the protective order?
As he said, he and I separated in June of 2004. By the first week of July of 2004.
I'm not interested in anything that happened in 2004. Nothing.
Okay.
I'm interested in anything that happened the 3 months immediately preceding November of 2006.
Good.
When you filed for a protective order.
Okay.
Period.
August 10th, 2006, I went to pick up my daughter. My mother was with me and my stepfather. He dropped off my daughter and he said, your game is over, Jamie. I've had a private investigator follow you and I have your bank account information. And I looked at my mother and I said, these are the kinds of things I'm talking about. My mom said, you take your daughter, you keep walking. So my stepfather and I walked.
Well, I don't know what he meant by that. What did you
I didn't know what he meant by that
What
either.
did you mean by that, sir?
Your Honor, the man she's been living with, the man she married, this is the whole root of the problem we've been having. This man she met on the internet and moved out here from Chicago. I had concerns about the welfare of my daughter. She's allowing this man to take my daughter to the public restroom. She's allowed this. She allowed.
Listen to me. Listen to me. That's not your business.
It's my daughter, my 2-year-old daughter.
It's not. Listen to me. It's not your business. Just as it's not her business that you're living with this lady. And the one thing we both care about is our child. And neither one of us would do anything to the child that would cause the child harm. Unless, of course, you have proof that somebody is causing them damage. If she complained to me that she didn't like the fact that when your daughter was at your house, you let her crawl into bed with you and your girlfriend, I would say, that's none of your business. And I'm saying to you, your concerns about somebody that she met, whether she met him on the internet, or she met him in a park, or she met him at McDonald's, are none of your business.
I don't,
now,
Your Honor.
All I want to know is, what games were you talking about, sir?
I'm talking about the games where she has accused me to this man. Since she met this man, I have wanted to meet him. The three of them were at a restaurant. My 2-year-old daughter says she has to go to the bathroom. This man gets up and takes my daughter to the public restroom. I asked Ms. Letters, why is he taking my daughter to the restroom? I'm saying, you're the mother. That is our daughter.
That's none of your business.
I believe it is, Your Honor.
I'm telling you.
This woman allows some man she met on the internet to move out here to Chicago and take my daughter to the restroom?
Her husband.
No, at the time it was not her husband. The only reason they got married, they married 4 days after this restraining order was dismissed because I raised these same issues in the courtroom that day, and they got married 4 days later.
And what happened, Mr. Davis, when you raised the same issues? What did the judge say to you? Did the judge say, oh, my God? Oh, my God, we best call Child Protective Services immediately? Is that what the judge said to you?
No, ma'am. The judge did not respond.
Excuse me?
The judge did not respond to those issues.
That's right. The judge did not respond.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Him taking my daughter to the restroom, him taking my daughter to the locker room of the Y and giving her a shower.
That never happened.
Yes, it did. My daughter's swim class. Yes, it did.
And later today,
You signed custody over to Miss Strickland because you and their mother were neglecting them.
No.
You just decided you had enough being a parent?
of harassing her.
Listen, you don't have control anymore, sir. If you believe that someone is doing something that is not in your child's best interest and is harmful, abusive, or neglectful, your responsibility is to go to court or call Child Protective Services if you want to play that game. I would discourage you from doing that, but you don't start up with her. Just as she would have no sympathy from me if she said, I don't believe that my daughter has any right to stay at their house. She does stay at your house, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
And occasionally crawls into bed with you?
Yes, she does. Sometimes she does.
And you sleep with her?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And she's your girlfriend? Inappropriate?
I don't believe so.
Oh, well, who set you up to be the moral monitor?
Well,
You're a moral, just a second. You're a moral monitor. You have now a 5-year-old child who knows that you're not married to this lady, that you share a bed with her. I don't know what you wear when you go to sleep, and I don't know what she wears when she goes to sleep, but she crawls into bed with you. And if she said to me, I'm not letting my daughter go there anymore, if he's going to let my daughter crawl into bed with her, I would say to her, it's not your business. She loves her father. This is her father's significant other. I don't like significant others. I think you should be either married or not. But it's the 21st century. I'm coming into the 21st century. It's not your business. And I say the same thing to you. It's not your business.
I respectfully disagree.
Well, I don't give a rat's behind, sir. That's why I sit here. That's why I sit here, and I have been in this business for 40 years.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that.
40 years. And I'm telling you, you got to let go of it. Now, I want you to tell me what you meant when you said the game is over.
I meant that for the last 2 years, she's been putting my daughter in situations where my daughter has no business being involved with.
Your Honor, I'm a school teacher. I'm a
Listen to me.
kindergarten teacher.
Listen to me.
The fact that she moved in with a man and didn't know, that says a lot.
Listen to me. I'm getting the gist of it.
Okay.
I want to know what he said to you that inspired you to file for a protective order.
The private investigator I found alarming.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking somebody's following me
Fine.
around. And
Private investigator, he's allowed to hire a private investigator if he wants to.
And then I get phone messages as well as phone calls, calling me names.
You say that in your answer that you saved those.
Yes.
I'd like to hear them. Give it to Bert, please.
That's it.
Okay, so you have one message.
I have message after message after message, but that was the one that I thought pretty much wrapped up his anger is about the child support.
Well, so he called you a foul name.
Right.
called you a felony.
I would like to say
Put
that...
your hand down, madam.
I'm sorry. It's just there's been many messages.
Listen to me. Put your
Okay.
hand down.
Okay.
If that's the worst of it, it's not terrible.
Right.
Not nice, but not terrible. Go ahead. Keep going.
It's this vibe, I would say, as a woman, that we get our intuition. He makes me feel unsafe and uncomfortable.
Can I see the application that you filled out for the protective order?
Sure, and I can also give you, I have been keeping a log of the harassment.
When did you hire a private investigator, Mr. Davis?
Actually, Your Honor, I didn't hire a private investigator. The information that I was talking about was information I received from her mother and her father. They didn't want...
Just a second. Did you tell her that you had hired a private investigator?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So you lied to her?
Yes, I did, in order to keep her mother and her father out of distance, because they're the ones who told me this information.
What information, sir?
That basically the man that she was living with was someone she didn't know from Chicago, and moved him out here to live with her and my daughter.
You're talking about something that happened how many years ago, sir?
No, but yes.
How many years ago?
It happened 2 years ago, Your Honor, but everything that happened after them getting together, him taking my daughter to the restroom, him taking my daughter to the locker room of the Y and giving her a shower.
That never happened.
Yes, it did. My daughter's swim class, yes, it did. This is when I finally said, you know what?
You can't take a girl, a man cannot take a girl into the shower.
Miss Leathers, listen to me. Listen to me. Somebody who sleeps with his daughter in a bed with his girlfriend has no basis to complain about anything.
First of all, I get off at 3 o'clock in the morning. By the time I get home, she's already getting up for work.
Mr. Davis, you're backtracking, sir.
How was that?
There is no question in my mind when you told me that you have your daughter 50% of the time.
And that's
almost.
not true.
46%.
46.
That's not true. It's 25%, Your Honor.
The court order is right here. The court order is right here.
If you interrupt him again,
I'm sorry.
I'm throwing you out.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I understand.
I'm throwing you out. There's no question in my mind, Mr. Davis, that if your daughter spent either 25 or 46% of the time in your home, that she was crawling into bed with the two of you. Now, you don't consider that wrong. That's your prerogative. You keep your nose out of her business. Very, very lucky that you got rid of him.
I know.
You're very lucky.
Wow.
You're very lucky that you got rid of him because he's this kind of thick. You got him. He's yours.
And he's a very
he's
nice
yours.
man, Your
He's
Honor.
a
He's a very nice man.
He's a
This
very
woman
nice man. He
has
is a
followed me to my
controlling.
shop.
You're interrupting. He's controlling, and he doesn't see the inequality of his positions. He has to let go. He has to say, what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander, and I have to rely on the fact that my wife, ex-wife, who is a school teacher, who teaches children, who is an educated woman, wouldn't do anything to place my daughter at risk. And he's not. So have you.
How?
I just told you how.
This is a woman I've known for years. This is a man she met on the internet who did not know.
Oh, you're an idiot.
Did not know.
We've
You're
been
an
together
idiot.
2.5
You know
years.
something?
She did not know this man.
You know something? I got it. The truth is, his conduct is such that I understand why you felt threatened.
Right.
I feel that today he is unyielding and controlling, and I understand why you sought a protective order. Your case is dismissed, sir. That's all.
Parties are excused. May step
Ronna,
out.
this woman lied in her declaration. I have proof of that. She actually lied. Wow.
Done. Thank God.
She said to me over and over again that, I'm a woman, I'm the custodial parent, the courts are going to believe me because I'm a woman.
He's jealous that I got remarried and that my daughter loves her stepfather.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Abrigo versus Strickland. Step forward.
Marco Abrigo is suing his children's grandmother, Christina Strickland, for the return of 2 child support payments. Christina is countersuing for the unpaid medical expenses of Marco's children.
Mr. Abrigo, it is your claim that you paid child support to the defendant who was caring for your 2 children for 5 years. And the last 2 payments that you made to her, which were deducted from your salary, I assume, were made when the children had been returned to their mother. And you want those 2 payments back. Ms. Strickland says she took care of your 2 children for 5 years. You owe her a fortune of money, and she's counterclaiming. So I have a few questions for you, sir, before I make very, very short work out of you. When did your children go to live with Miss Strickland?
2001, I believe.
What do you mean you believe? I would know the exact moment that my children were removed from my custody.
I don't know the exact date
that we signed over the children, but it was towards the end. I'm going to say September of 2001.
And you signed custody over to Miss Strickland because you and their mother were neglecting them. And but for Miss Strickland, the state would have taken them. Fair statement?
No.
You just decided you had enough being a parent?
No.
What was it?
Well, the way it went down is the mother of the children and Miss Strickland were talking, and because I was going to be going away.
Going away to where?
I
Summer
was
camp?
possibly going to be incarcerated, and she would not be able to take care of the children.
Why not?
I do not know.
Were you living together at the time?
No, we were not. We were not
So
together.
what difference did it make whether you were in jail or on Mars? She was still alone taking care of the children. When were you in jail, sir? From when to when?
Basically from January of 2002 to November 2002.
And in that year, the children were with Miss Strickland.
Yes, they were.
And how much support were you sending while you were in jail?
None.
None? Who was supporting your children?
Miss Strickland.
And when did you make that year up to her?
Well, when I did get out of 2002, I didn't make it up to her financially, but through 2003 to the beginning of 2004, February, I had the kids in excess of about 200 days.
I'm talking about when you were in prison, sir. You paid nothing for the support of your two children.
I paid nothing.
Nothing. You got two jobs so you could start paying her back all the money she spent on taking care of the children. Didn't you?
No, I did not.
Well, then you've got some nerve being here. For two payments? Because they went to her instead of going to the mother of the children?
I'm only going by what the court is telling me to go by.
This court is telling you to go home. After I would have made you bend down and kiss her feet for taking care of your children for 5 years. So I have no idea what you're doing here. What you're doing here is nonsense. Listen, Miss Strickland.
Yes, ma'am.
But for the fact that he sued you for this nonsense, you would not be here. Is that correct?
Probably.
Probably. Because you didn't expect anything from him?
Never.
And pretty much that's exactly what you got.
Exactly. May I say something, please?
Absolutely.
My grandchildren have been living with their mom since August of 2006. He has not sent one penny to support those kids up until this point.
Is what she's saying correct?
Yes, it is.
Would you get him out of here? I cannot stand to look at him. Your case is
Parties are
dismissed.
excused. You may
That's all.
step out. Thank you. Now it's case number 146 on the calendar in the matter of Lager versus Boots. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Let's have a seat.
Thank you, Bert. Miss Lager, these two young men used to be friends of yours, and it is your claim that some time ago they vandalized your car while they were probably drunk, acting like fools. What's your last name?
Boots.
And yours?
Boots.
Are you brothers?
Yes, we are.
The Boots brothers?
Yep. Yeah.
You ought to make a movie out of it. Boots brothers. They say it wasn't them. When did this happen, Miss Lager?
On my 21st birthday, June 3rd, 2006.
And where was your car at the time?
It was at my boyfriend's mother's house, Janelle Foley's.
That would be you?
Yes.
Could you stand up? Because you weren't there.
Correct, I was not there.
When had you parked your car in front of your boyfriend's mother's house?
Well, I was letting her borrow it for quite some time because her vehicle was getting fixed at the time.
What kind of car did you have?
It's a 2001 Nabira Daewoo.
Could you keep your voice up? I'm old.
It was a 2001 Nabira Daewoo.
What is that?
It's a four-door silver
Nabira?
vehicle. Nabira.
Where is that made?
I believe Korea, but I'm not sure.
I never heard of it. I'm so pleased that you didn't. I'm sure it's a lovely car.
It was a lovely car.
Miss Foley, do you remember June 3rd, 2006?
Yes.
I knew you were home on June 3rd, 2006. Which one of the Boots boys is going to speak?
I will.
And what is your first name?
Brent.
And yours?
My name's Nick.
No, I think I want Nick to speak. Now, Nick, how far do you live from Miss Foley?
Only like 2 blocks.
You have any reason to be near Miss Foley's house?
I'm best friends with their kid.
Keep your voice up, Nick.
I'm best friends with their son,
What's her son's name?
Bart.
Is that person here today?
Nah, he's not.
Your younger brother?
Yeah, it was my younger brother.
How long have you been friends?
Since I was like 2.
Tell me about June 2006.
Well,
No. Don't look there. Don't look there.
Well, we were at her house. We were at her house, like having a party or whatever, chilling. Just a get together.
How many people were there?
Just like 4 of us.
Which 4? The 2 Boots boys?
Her. And then my girlfriend was there. And then her son was there.
There were 5 of you there. That would be 5. Let's count
Or
them.
other than me.
Nick, you want to count them? That would be 5 altogether, right? And when had you started chilling?
I'm not sure what time it was.
Around 9 or so, I'd say. 8 or 9.
And then what happened, Nick?
We were just drinking and whatnot, and then we left.
Drinking. What were you drinking?
Vodka,
Where did you get the vodka from?
I believe.
No! Don't speak unless I speak to you. I want Nick. Don't speak. Where did you get the vodka from?
I believe it was from her, because it was
From
her
who?
21st birthday. Jessica.
Was she home?
No.
Well, where did you get the vodka from?
We met up with them earlier on that day.
And she gave you a bottle of vodka?
Well, she purchased it for us. We gave her the money.
So you gave Miss Lager the cash, and she went into a liquor store and purchased how much vodka?
A liter.
A liter. That's a big bottle, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty big.
And what were you mixing the liter with?
We were just taking shots and drinking pop.
Shots and pop.
Shots and pop, yes.
And then what happened?
Nothing. We all had fun, and then once the night was over, we all went home.
And didn't see Miss Lager's car?
No.
Miss Lager, did you purchase vodka for them?
No, I did not. No, I do not purchase vodka for underage minors.
Why do you think they would make up that kind of story?
To make it look good for themselves?
Nah. They could have just said, you know, they found it. So I believe that you purchased it for them.
It was my 21st birthday. Why would I purchase alcohol for them?
I have no idea, because they were with your boyfriend's little brother.
I wasn't even near them all day. I was with my mother all day.
Okay. Miss Foley, tell me what you saw on June 3rd with regard to the Boots Boys and Miss Lager's car.
I was at home. My son Bartley came up late that night and said, Mother, Brent and Nick are out kicking in Jesse's car. You need to come out and make him stop. So I went down, I looked out the landing. Brent was on the hood of the car, the roof of the car.
Brent, why couldn't you let Nick go on the hood of the car?
So I went down 2 more flights of stairs. By the time I got out there, Brent was off of the car, standing by the passenger mirror. Nick was standing in front of the car trying to kick the headlight, and he had stated to me that he had kicked the headlight and it didn't break. And Brent said he kicked the mirror off, but it didn't come off all the way. And I asked him why they were doing that, and they were mad at Jessica, I guess, at the time. So
why were you mad at Jessica?
We were mad at Jessica, but...
Well, tell me why you were mad at her. I just want to know why you were mad at her.
Stole a digital camera from my ex-girlfriend out of our house.
Oh, then I don't believe that she bought you alcohol. There you go. See what happened? If you were mad at her, why would you give her money to buy you alcohol on the same day?
He was always around anyways.
Oh.
Because I used to be best friends with him over there, her boyfriend.
We all hung out every day.
Now, she's the mother of your really good friend, right?
Yes.
So you know her for a long time.
Most of my
You go
life.
to her house? Put your hand down. You go to her house?
Every day, practically.
She sometimes gives you a sandwich? You know?
I eat over there occasionally, I could say.
So you think there's any reason why she would lie about you?
No, I wouldn't see a reason why she would.
Why would she lie about her son's best friend, who she sees every day of his life, who she's very good to? Why would she lie about him?
I don't know.
Do you understand my problem here, Nick?
Yes, I do.
You know where I'm coming from?
Sort of, yeah.
Are you twins?
No.
Who's older?
I'm older.
What about your older brother here? Did he ever go over to Miss Foley's house?
Yep.
Eat at her house?
We didn't really know much people in the area, so we were there all the time.
And Miss Foley was always nice to you?
Most of the time, yes.
Can you think of any reason why she would tell such a horrendous lie about you vandalizing a car that she was driving? Huh?
Maybe because Jessica's going to give her some money for it or something.
No. Then you would have to say that she's a liar and a thief.
She is.
Miss Foley?
Oh, not Miss Foley, but Jessica.
I'm talking about Miss Foley.
No, she's not a
Miss Foley is the one who identified you, not Miss Lager. You want to look at Miss Foley and tell her she's a liar?
On this
Nick!
Yes.
You want to look at Miss Foley and tell her she's a liar? You followed your brother.
Yeah.
No, say this. Miss Foley, you're a liar.
I wish she wouldn't lie, that's what.
Uh-huh. Evidently, you were a better friend than your older brother, because you couldn't say it. Now, when you do something wrong, you're supposed to fess up. Now, it's possible that you two morons don't remember, because you were drinking a liter of vodka, what you did on the night of June 3rd. That's possible. How old are you?
I'm 19.
And you?
21.
Can I see an estimate on fixing your car in the photographs, please? Are you still friendly with her younger son?
Not really.
Was he also involved? Well, you don't know. Was your youngest son involved in this?
He didn't. Nope.
Was he? Just a second.
No, he did not do anything to the car.
Did you want to say something?
I was going to say I thought you were talking about him, but I am friends with her youngest son, yes.
No, I asked if her youngest son did anything to this car.
No, he wasn't there. He was upstairs the whole time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did you hear what he said? He said no, he wasn't there. He was upstairs all the time. You just let him go and go and go, and after a while they just, you know.
They'll sign off.
They just sign off on it, right?
It was in an accident.
Yeah, her car was in an
previously.
accident before that, and it was all dented, and she was trying to say that we did all that when it couldn't
How much
possibly.
did you do?
I didn't do nothing.
Oh, yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Now, if you said to me, listen, we got a little drunk, and we acted stupid around the car, but a lot of this damage was done before.
This stuff
I'll talk
happens
to you.
all the time in our area.
What, that you jump on the
People-
hood of a car?
No. Vandalism.
I asked you a question. Your brother couldn't say it. If Miss Foley identified you two boys who were lifelong friends of one of her children, there would have to be a reason. Because when people identify someone who's caused damage to their property, they want the right people punished. They don't want the wrong people punished. They want the right people to pay for the damage. Now, if she had some axe to grind with you, I could understand it. But you've given me no motive for her to lie about it.
She wasn't even there. This is completely false and erroneous. And
Yeah. No, you're erroneous.
no.
You're erroneous and irrelevant. Erroneous and
And the
irrelevant.
car's not even worth that much to begin with.
You're absolutely right. How much did you pay for the car?
Around $7,000.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give you $11,000 to fix it.
No, I don't.
No. You could go buy yourself a new car.
Car can't even drive down the road straight. You let go of the wheel and you'll be in
Listen,
the
you
ditch.
couldn't walk straight. That's not up to you, young man. That's not up to you. When you damage somebody's property, you take it as you take it. That's it. And when you act like a fool, that's why they don't let people drink until they're 21 years old, because even 21-year-olds are morons. 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds are double morons. They shouldn't even be allowed out of the house after 9 o'clock at night. Judgment for the plaintiff, the amount of $3,500. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's scandalous and she's money hungry.
I was asking like $1,500 to begin with, and they said I was shady for asking $1,500.
They got money that they shouldn't have got.
Jessica's a thief. She took his digital camera from his girlfriend and she walked out of the grocery store with 2 rotisserie chickens.
I'm just surprised that the boys said that they didn't do it.
It's ruining a long friendship. Not going to talk to her.
Just make sure you trust the people, because I trusted them and they ruined my car.
Perez is suing her ex-boyfriend, Joseph Delgado Jr., for throwing a cell phone at her car and for breaking her finger during an argument.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 379 on the calendar in the matter of Perez versus Delgado. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Perez, how long were you and Mr. Delgado together?
A little over 5 years.
You have no children together?
No children.
Records indicate that this is not the first lawsuit that you filed against Mr.
It is not.
Delgado. When did you separate from him?
We separated in November of '03. I filed a lawsuit against him when I could find him. He was on the run.
Is that around the time that you allege he both damaged your car, which is the subject of this lawsuit, and assaulted you, broke your finger?
It is.
After that happened, he left. You did not live together anymore.
That's correct.
Now, this is one lawsuit. How many lawsuits have you filed, not about this charge, against Mr. Delgado in total? Because our records indicate you have had other cases against
4.
him. For what?
One's not resolved.
Well, what is it about?
A motorhome. I owned 3 houses, 4 cars, and a motorhome. And he took off at the motorhome. I gave him a car. And the other one has to do with tax issues. He hadn't filed taxes in 5 years. And the other one is the broken finger and the laptop.
Just a second. If he hadn't filed taxes in how many years, what does that have to do with you?
He contacted me to try and help him get it done, for my accountant to do it for him.
When had he contacted you?
May of '04.
Did you lend him money, allegedly?
I did.
Has that case been resolved?
That case has been resolved.
In
He
whose
paid-
favor?
I dropped the lawsuit because he was crying and pleading to drop the lawsuit that he would make a
Ms.
payment.
Perez, in May of 2004, did you lend him money or allow him to use your account?
I did not loan him money, but he was using my accountant that I'm in good standing with to do his taxes and didn't have a checkbook to pay him with. So I was taking on the debt because it was my accountant.
Were you speaking to her in May of 2004?
Yes, ma'am. We met with the accountant together on May 15th and signed my taxes. She had all my tax records.
You met together.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you met together, did you have lunch before you went to the accountant?
We met at a restaurant with the accountant.
So
On the way.
I'm speaking. So you had lunch together.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you contact Ms. Perez prior to May of 2004?
I had talked to her several times prior to that.
Where were you when you contacted her?
At the same home I'm at right now. I haven't moved or changed phone numbers.
Did you see Ms. Perez at any time between November of 2003 and May of 2004?
No, ma'am.
Did not see her?
No, ma'am.
That is not true.
That's not true.
No.
When did you see him?
I gave him 30 days to remove his items from the house I was moving from San Diego to Los Angeles. He never took everything at one time and kept calling once a day to come pick something else up from the house.
So
That
you
went
saw
on for January 28th of 04. And I moved on February 26th of 04.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I can show here where I have papers where I sold my house in Oceanside and it closed escrow on January 12th. I have here canceled checks and loan documents were on January 22nd. I was in Kansas City, already purchased another home. I haven't been back here.
It's so fascinating to me because I'm gathering all kinds of information and you are taking positions, each of you, that is inconsistent with the position that you really want to take with regard to this lawsuit, just to fight with each other.
No, ma'am, I'm not. I didn't touch anybody's car and I didn't touch her and that's my position.
Well, we're going to get there.
Sorry.
But what you're doing is you're not helping yourself because you're not thinking it through. Let me get there for you, Mr. Delgado. According to your complaint, Ms. Perez, sometime in November of 2003, at about the time that you separated, Mr. Delgado damaged your car. And after he damaged your car, about a week later, you got into an altercation and he assaulted you. You're going to tell me about those two things.
Okay.
Because that's what this lawsuit is about. So let's get there, and let's get there, Ms. Perez, quickly.
The assault actually happened on October 3rd of 03. The last time I ever saw him again was November 18th of 03.
Well, between October 3rd of 03 and November 18th, did you live together?
No.
Did you stay together?
No.
Tell me what happened on October 3rd, 2003.
Okay. He used to work at a hotel chain and called me one day to bring 8 kids home. Their apartments were not ready yet. They were to be employed at the hotel he was working. I allowed him to bring these 8 kids home, and it turned into a fiasco for the next 2 weeks until the apartments were ready. I have evidence of what my house was like, what his behavior was like.
I'm not interested. Could we get to the October 3rd, 2003?
Come to find out, he was fooling around with one of the kids staying at my house and would come home daily in a combative mood and subsequently threw a cell phone at my car out of anger and took my car drunk, pulled into the garage and ran over a hand dolly. I have pictures before he did that, after he did that.
Is that on October 3rd?
The last event was on October 3rd. That was prior to October.
Talking about the car.
The car was prior to October 3rd.
Date?
September 27th.
Between September 27th and October 3rd, did you live together?
He was keeping hours at the hotel. He would stay at the hotel.
Ms. Perez, between September 27th...
Not as boyfriend and girlfriend, no.
Now, get to October 3rd, 2003.
My cleaning lady was at the house, and we were in the garage. And not to disrupt her cleaning, this is my cleaning lady, we went in the garage. We started having a heated argument over things that were happening with all the kids at the hotel, and it turned into a pushing, shoving, spitting match. He proceeded to spit in my face.
What did you do to him?
Pushed him off of me, and that's how my finger got broken.
Just a second. You said to me it turned into a pushing, fighting, spitting match.
Well,
match is your term. Now you've told me what you say he did to you. You tell me what you did to him.
Happened to be in the same room.
Well, you just told me that you just shh. Ms. Perez, you just told me that you broke your finger pushing him
off of me.
Well, how was he on you?
I was on the couch. He was towering over me.
You were on the couch in a garage.
Right. We had a computer, a television, a hockey table. It was like a game room.
So you're on the couch in the garage.
I don't allow smoking inside my house, and that's
You're
why.
on the couch in the garage, and he's on top of you.
Right.
And you pushed him off you.
That's correct.
And you broke your finger.
That's correct.
What else?
My cleaning lady at the time was inside cleaning the house. I went inside, got my keys, purse, and had to go pick up my 8-year-old from school. I went and picked up my 8-year-old from school, took him with me to the emergency room. And because he was with me, I really didn't want him knowing what was going on. So I went to the doctor and told him it had occurred from fooling around. Now, the break was a circular break, and it broke every...
You have the emergency room records?
I absolutely do, and
good
pictures.
Well, can I ask you this question?
I have a diagram.
Shh. I don't want a diagram. I don't want pictures. I asked you for the emergency room records. And if you were going to the emergency room, and I assumed that you were just going to pick up your son so that he wouldn't be left out at school without someone caring for him.
That's correct.
Why didn't you take your housekeeper with you, who is here today, so that she could sit outside with your son if you were going to the emergency room?
She was leaving. She had another job to go to, and
Did you ask her to stay?
No, I did not. I was leaving.
It was an emergency. You were going to the emergency room.
That's correct.
Told the doctor you were fooling around snapping kitchen towels.
That's correct, because my 8-year-old was with me, and I did not want to subject him to all the things going on. He had been around Joe since he was 2, and I really didn't want to crush or make him scared about any of the occurrences going on.
So what are you suing him now for? You don't think your son's going to know about this?
No, I've kept it from him.
Well,
he's in school.
10 million people watch this program, madam.
He's in school with after-school activities.
You got a lot of excuses. Mr. Delgado, you want to tell me what, if anything, you remember about October 3rd?
You know, all I know is that we have a dog named Daisy that was a shepherd mix. We always used to take a towel, and she would get one in, and you'd grab her and she'd like this and play with her. I came home. She said she was wrestling with the dog. Daisy pulled on the towel, and she broke her finger.
Your Honor?
She drove...
I don't want to hear you. You see how quiet he was?
She drove herself to the doctor and came home with the medical report, said her finger was broken, and they were going to wait and see for a few weeks whether she needed to have any surgery or anything else done on it. At the time, we had the same medical insurance. We were in the same house, everything. That was the last I ever heard it until 2 years later. I get my 4th lawsuit from her about that.
Your Honor, I have a diagram drawn by the doctor, the surgeon, of what needs to be done to repair my finger. My cleaning lady was there at the house and can tell you what she heard from inside the house, and we were in the garage. Come on.
Tell me your name, please.
Yolanda Marcial.
How long have you worked for Miss Perez?
More than 8 years.
8 years. Why didn't you go with her to the emergency room, Miss Marcial?
Because I was working in the house. I was busy in the house, and I just getting ready to leave.
What time of the day were you getting finished with your job?
Around like 2 something.
In the afternoon?
2 something.
And where were you going?
To Oceanside.
What's in Oceanside?
I was working for another lady in Oceanside.
What time are you due there?
Around like, I got traffic around like 4 over there to Oceanside.
How long did you remain in the house after Miss Perez left to go and pick up her son?
When she left to get, around like maybe like 45 minutes.
Did Miss Perez ask you to accompany her to the emergency room?
No.
Did you offer to accompany her to the emergency room?
No.
When she came inside, did she show you her hand?
She walked with the hand like that, and I know that something happened because I heard screaming in the garage and fighting in the garage.
When you heard screaming and fighting in the garage, did you go into the garage?
No. I'm only the cleaning person. I'm nothing.
You heard screaming and fighting in the garage, and you didn't go in there? Did you call the police?
No.
You just went on vacuuming. Sit down, Miss Marcial. Put your hand down.
I have pictures.
Not interested in the pictures. More interested in the statement that you made to the doctor when you went in there.
I had my 8-year-old with me.
I don't believe that that's the reason you make up that kind of a lie.
I had to.
No, you don't. You have to say, would you go sit over there? And doctor, I want to tell you privately what happened. That's what you do. I mean, otherwise, the doctor believes what you're saying, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Because you give the doctor information, because based upon that information, it helps them treat whatever's wrong with you.
I came up with that story to protect my child.
No, that's a lot of baloney. That's baloney. I'm older than you are. I've been to the emergency room, both with myself and my children. Over the course of the years, little things happen. And you can always say, go over and sit there with that nice nurse for a second because the doctor wants to see me.
Your Honor, I tried to call 911 and he threw the phone and broke it.
Listen to me very carefully. You were out of the house. You went to pick up your child. You say to her, do me a favor, leave now and call the police. I'm leaving now. I'm going to the police. You did nothing. You did absolutely nothing except go to the emergency room on the 3rd for whatever reason and tell the doctor that you hurt yourself fooling around with a towel.
I was protecting my child.
You keep saying that, and I keep saying to you, I don't believe you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Get over it. Put a period. He doesn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. It was 5 years out of your life. Move on.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda Perez is accusing her ex-boyfriend, Joseph Delgado Jr., of damaging her car and breaking her finger.
Now, there's a lawsuit that she filed against you that she won a judgment for $1,000.
No, ma'am, she didn't win a judgment. She dropped the lawsuit. I paid the $1,000.
Tell me about that $1,000, sir.
After we'd split up, we hadn't talked for a while. I was behind on my taxes. Finally, I called Linda a couple times and talked to her, and we kind of were in an amicable position where I said, listen, I need to file my taxes. So she agreed that she would give me my tax paperwork and everything back.
Why did you leave without your tax paperwork?
I left just about everything I had there.
Why?
Because we're just not getting along, and that was enough.
When did you leave?
I don't remember the exact date, but I was out of there by the end of October.
So there came a time that you called her and said to her what?
That I wasn't coming back.
Taxes.
Oh, taxes. Well, I had asked for this before I left California, and I was not.
Fine. So she said she'd give you your paperwork.
And finally, in about April of 2004, and then what she's telling the truth about the account, when we used her account, and I have the paperwork here, and I flew out here on May 15, 2004. We all three met. It was a respectable day. We didn't fight. Nothing happened. We didn't argue. She brought the paperwork. She said the accountant did the paperwork, and she did write the check for the $1,000, and I paid that back. And then I got back to Kansas City, where I live, and then on August 24th, I get from Blockbuster Video a bill from Canoga Park, 10 movies all rented in one day under my name. So I called out there and I said, listen.
Can I see that, please?
I said, I don't live in California. I haven't been in California.
Your Honor, all of our kids have the same Blockbuster card.
Well, yes, they do. And this is where it got real interesting, where Blockbuster knew who exactly rented them. Because our kids before, both of our older boys, would go down and rent movies and we had late fees, Linda and I went to Blockbuster and we put a password on our account. So in order to rent movies, you had to know that password. When I called this Blockbuster and said, I don't owe this money, they said, yes, you're the primary person on the account, and the person that used that account used the password to get those movies. They rented all 10 of them one day and never brought one of them back.
That was in August of 2004.
And that's after all this. Sorry.
Okay. Tell me about the return of the $1,000, sir.
I took my credit card at Bank of America in Kansas City, and I went down and put that into her account.
So what was the lawsuit about?
I don't remember all the. There was a couple of things in there she was suing me for, but that was part of it. Immediately after I got back, she filed the lawsuit. I should have paid it quicker, but I had told her. But we were in contact the whole time. She knew, and then I went down and paid it. Then I flew out here. Then the lawsuit got canceled after I'd flown all the way out here. Then I go back home. Then this happens. It's like this card thing happened, this finger thing happened, but yet we're doing the taxes. We finally got the paperwork settled together. We meet at a restaurant to eat. You know what? You drop the lawsuit, I pay the money. She just said that. Then the Blockbuster thing happens out of no reason. 2 years later, I get 4 more lawsuits, and I'm going to fly back out here again. And at the time, the finger in the car insurance, we had even the same car insurance until December 12th. We never had any claims. We never had any problems. The health insurance that she went to the doctor with was my health insurance.
Your Honor, he got fired from...
I'm speaking. When did you file the lawsuit with regard to the taxes?
September of 2004.
When did you drop that lawsuit?
The end of September of 2004.
When did you file this lawsuit?
October 27th, I believe.
All right. Ms. Perez, I'm not going to totally annihilate you. I'm just going to do it very, very quickly because quite frankly, I have more important... I'm speaking! Your complaint says that the reason you didn't file this lawsuit sooner was because Joe went on the run and I was unable to locate him because he left the state. In September 2004, I was finally able to find him, and I immediately filed a small claims case against Joe for my car and assault damages. Once he was served, he contacted me, begged me to drop the case, and said he would start making payments. When I received his first payment of $1,000, I went and dismissed the case without prejudice. That is a lie. That's a lie. Because the case that you dismissed in September of 2004 had nothing to do with the car and the assault. It had to do with the taxes, that he paid you the $1,000, so you dismissed that case. That's what you just told me.
It wasn't solely the taxes.
And you told me that you filed this case September 27th, 2005. Get over it. Put a period. He doesn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. It was 5 years out of your life. Move on. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a...
This is case number 363 on the calendar in the matter of McDonald versus Wahab Rasiniak. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. McDonald, it is your claim that the defendants filed false charges against you. I believe that the charges emanated from an instance of what we've come to call road rage that happened about a year ago.
That's correct.
The defendant said that you were acting erratically, that what they were trying to do was to secure your license plate number so that they could forward it to the police when this incident occurred. You didn't know each other prior to this incident, is that correct?
No. That's correct.
And you had a trial, Mr. McDonald?
Yes, I did.
And you were acquitted?
I was acquitted on all 3 charges in 37 minutes.
When was the incident? That...
October 24th, 2004 at 2 o'clock.
And what kind of car were you driving, sir?
I was driving a BMW Z3 convertible with the top down.
Do me a favor. Just let me ask the questions and try to give me just the answers that I need.
You bet.
Where were you going, Mr. McDonald?
I had seen an open house sign on a street called Edwards, and I was following an open house sign into a track that I had never been in.
Tell me what happened, Mr. McDonald.
Well, as I was going through the track, I realized that there was a car in front of me. It was driving in an erratic fashion. What I mean by that, it would slow down to about 5 miles an hour, speed up 6.
So listen to me. Don't interrupt him. You're going to have an opportunity to testify. Don't interrupt him.
Sorry, ma'am.
Go ahead.
All of a sudden, I see her kind of go to the right. And I took that as her politely moving off to the right to let me go by.
How many lanes of traffic were there?
This street is a little unusual, and I have a picture over here that I took. If I may move over here and show you. Back here is where I'm seeing all the information going.
I just want to know how large the street was, Mr. McDonald. So that's the street that it was on, so there can be a parked car on either side and 1 lane of traffic.
Easily.
4 car lanes.
Correct.
Keep going.
The minute I went by her car, she lays into the horn, honk, all the way around till I get in front. And I look in my rearview mirror, and simultaneously, I see both fingers go out the window on each side. So that kind of set the mood that was going on. And what I did is I gave a wave like this, my error. But I actually thought that was a polite movement on her in the very beginning. Oh. So as I go by, and I'm looking in my rear mirror, I see this go on, they make a left turn, and I think, okay, that's the end of it. Instead, they flipped a U-turn and now coming at me. They caught me at the stop sign, and his window's down. She pulls the car right up next to me to the left of my side, and there's nothing but screaming going on. So I looked at Miss Rosnick, and I said, "You're driving like an idiot." And then I turned right, they turned left. I thought that was the end of it. Nope. So I'm going down the street here, and as I go down the street, the road, as it shows, veers off to the left. As soon as I got around that corner, they're right back on my butt again. Now the problem is, I have them, having gone off to the left, time's taken, and I think they've got a weapon with them. They're staying between a half a car length and a car length behind my car.
How fast were you going, Mr. McDonald, at this point?
Probably about 25, 30 at the most.
Did you ever accelerate beyond 25 to
yes,
30 miles? When?
When we came down the long street after they interrogated me, I spotted people at the very end of the block. It's like the movie Duel, where I've got these people just bearing down on me. I don't know what they have in their possession.
What kind of car were they driving?
A white Malibu, I think is what it was. Okay. Like a mid-sized car. So they're behind me. I see people down at the end of the road. I accelerate and pull immediately in front of their house.
Uncross your hands.
At the exact moment that I'm pulling over, and I get out of my car to yell to somebody to call the police, Miss Resnick takes her car and pulls in front in a wedge fashion.
Okay. So she parks and blocks you.
Correct. And all this whole thing that's going on is predicated on one idea that you said. They wanted to get my license plate. And I can show 15 different times that they could have. The truth meant, sure.
Life has a rhythm to it. There are certain things that are common sense, and there are certain things that are not. You don't have to fill in the blanks for me.
Okay.
If I need for you to fill in the blanks, Mr. McDonald, I'll ask you.
Okay.
Keep going.
So as soon as I get out of the car, she pulls the car over. He jumps out of the car and immediately starts coming toward me. Now at this point, I take a step toward him, and I say, in the best voice I can, "Get back in your car."
Okay.
"Get back in your car." And it worked. He turned around right there, but Miss Rusnick didn't leave it there. She puts her car in reverse. Your Honor, I have the transcripts of the court proceeding. I have it on audio, and I would appreciate to be able to at least play a couple tracks to give you a flavor of what happened.
She put the car in reverse.
Correct.
Go ahead.
And as she put the car in reverse, Mr. Wahab goes back to
Mr. Wahab. Mr. Wahab.
Sorry.
You have problem controlling yourself, sir?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
You have problem controlling your temper, sir?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Well, it sounds to me as if you do, sir. You don't want to create that kind of impression, do you?
No, I don't.
You see, you've already done it. You only have one chance to make a first impression, Mr. Wahab.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've made a bad one so far.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Mr. Wahab gets out of the car. I tell him to go back. He gets back in the car.
You told me that already.
As Miss Rusnick's backing the car up, he jumps in the car, shuts the door, and you think it would end there. No. She keeps the car coming right back at me. I move out of the way, and just like she did at the stop sign, she stops his car door right here, the window's down, and I said, "Get out of here!" Now, let me back up a minute.
When you said get out of here,
Sure.
you made a slapping or punching motion.
Correct.
You hit the car.
Correct.
Did you hit it with your fist, with your hand? Did you kick
Open
it?
right hand.
Okay. Did you kick the car at all?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And then what happened?
So I hit it 3 times, "Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here." And as I'm saying that, I see Mr. Wahab either rearing back, like he's going to go back and kick me through the window, which I can't believe could be true,
Fine.
or...
Well, you don't know. Don't speculate.
Okay, well, I see something coming at me. And as I lean back to deflect it, she has a car and drive, and they take off.
Okay.
But they don't. She flips the car around and U-turns.
Oh
Stops
my
again.
gosh.
Just on the other side of the road. He pops back out again. I say, "Get back in that car." He gets back in the car instantly. She takes off again. But that's not it. She goes forward again. She stops again. He pops out of the car, but this time, there's a guy that was standing on the other side. A lot of people were evidently watching this thing. He goes over to Mr. Wahab, puts his hand on his shoulder and said, "It's not worth it, it's not worth it." Now, here's what I know.
Don't tell me what you know.
This is what I was
Do you have-
thinking.
I don't care what you were thinking.
Okay? I left.
You left. Fine. Do you have a copy of the police report
Yes, I do.
that Ms. Rusniak and Mr. Wahab filed?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Now, you were subsequently arrested, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
What were you charged with, sir?
I was charged with 242 battery of Mr. Wahab, disturbing the peace, challenging to fight against Mr. Wahab, and then vandalism, property, crime against Ms. Rusnick.
Who's going to speak for you? Both of you to start? Go ahead.
First, I would like to say that this man put my life in jeopardy. He really
No, you
did.
put your life in jeopardy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had a cell phone.
No, we did not have a cell phone, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I can prove that they have a cell phone.
I wasn't on the cell phone up until the point where I tried to call the police.
Oh, madam, are you telling me that you just lied to me?
As a result of false charges filed by Camille Raciniak and Michael Wahab. The couple claims Tim was driving like a maniac.
You put your life in jeopardy. I'm going to tell you why you put your life in jeopardy. Because according to what I read in the police report, your statement, you felt as if this man was driving too fast in a residential street. So you decided to try to get his license plate.
That's not all it was.
That's the reason, because there had been no altercation up until that time.
Actually, there was.
Oh, you explain that to me.
Well, as you see the street here, I live on not this street that's cut off, but the one in front of the Suburban right there.
So?
That's my street. I was turning left onto that street.
So?
He almost caused me to have an accident. He went around me on the left-hand side as I was making my
He was
left-hand
driving, I said, he was driving erratically, and you said he put your life at risk. You put your life at risk.
I admit, I should have never followed him, and I will never do it again.
That's right.
I learned my lesson on that
That's right.
But he did physically assault me,
Listen to me
and my boyfriend.
Listen to me very carefully. You got hot, and you did a very dumb thing. You followed him, and you followed him, and you chased him several times.
I never...
Yes, you did. You followed him in order to, according to you, get his license plate number. But these are your statements, not mine. You told the police that she was so offended by this vehicle's unsafe driving that they made a U-turn and then made a U-turn back to attempt to get his license plate number of the vehicle to report it to the police. They said they pulled up alongside the vehicle at a stop sign. Well, what'd you do that for? If you wanted to get his license plate number, get his license plate number and call the police, but that's not what you did. And asked him why he was driving so recklessly. So let me figure this out. You were very offended by the way he was driving. You made 2 U-turns in order to catch up with him. That's what you told the police, unless you say the police are lying. And you didn't get his license plate, but you pulled up to him and, according to you, said to him in a calm way, "Why are you driving so recklessly?" Do you know how ridiculous that sounds?
No.
Do you know how ridiculous? I'm not saying he's right. I'm saying to you that somewhere between what you're going to tell me and what he told me is the truth. That's probably why the jury acquitted him. Now, who are you? You are 2 people. He's 1 person in a car. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know whether you have good intentions, bad intentions. He has no clue. All he knows is, according to you, you have turned around and followed him on at least 3 occasions. And at that point, you are 2 nuts following him, and he doesn't know what you have in mind. So now what you're complaining about is that he dented your car. I would have hit your car. I would have taken a brick and thrown it through the windshield if 2 people were following me over a dissing incident.
That's not what it was about in the least.
Well, that's what it was about, madam. If you didn't get the license plate number calmly and call the police, you had a cell phone.
No, I didn't.
We did not have a cell phone, Your Honor.
Oh, and you had no pen?
No.
No, I did have a pen, but we were unable to get his license plate number.
He was driving
and
too
my
fast.
first intention was not to get his license plate number.
He had pulled over and stopped.
Your Honor, I can prove that they have a cell phone. I can prove it without a doubt.
How can you prove that?
I wasn't on the cell phone up until the point where I tried to call the police, sir.
Oh, madam, are you telling me that you just lied to me when you said you didn't? I'm speaking. Are you telling me that you just lied to me when you said I didn't have a cell phone?
We don't have a cell phone on us.
Where was the cell phone?
At my house.
At the house.
Just a second. You say you can show me that she had a cell phone in the car?
What they forgot was that they had called 911 from the cell phone.
Okay,
Yeah.
prove it.
Let me see.
No, I did call.
Mr. Wahab, let me explain to you twice now what you did, sir. You showed me that you cannot control your temper.
I
2
can
times.
control my temper, Your Honor.
2 times in a courtroom. So if you can't control yourself in a courtroom, what are you doing out in the street when somebody drives by and flips off your girlfriend? Ooh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If somebody had just assaulted my passenger, I wouldn't have said this guy in a BMW had some serious issues.
The operator never let us finish our statement.
Listen, let me tell you something. I heard this very, very clearly. Nobody cut you off.
No.
Nobody cut you off.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tim McDonald claims fellow motorists Camille Raciniak and Michael Wahab chased him down during an incident on the road. He is suing for a false police report.
You have something that's going to show me that they had a cell phone?
Correct.
Show me.
I also have audio tape of the transcripts.
Okay, what kind of car was it? It was a convertible red BMW 2-door. And it was a male driver? Yes. He has some issues. Okay, what's the cell phone number you're calling from? 714. Okay.
2 things I'll show, Your Honor, if I may.
But just 1 second. Mr.
Sure.
McDonald, that doesn't demonstrate to me that they had a phone in the car.
No,
That
I'm sorry, but I actually have her statement in court saying that she called on the way back to the
let
house.
me see. I'd like to see that.
And I also have the certified copy of the
Your Honor?
transcripts complete.
He said that we pulled over to a red curb on the street. There's no red curb on that street,
Mr.
though.
Wahab, we're not talking about red
All right,
curb,
I'm sorry.
sir. The first thing
I don't
I'm
even know why I'm here today.
Just a second. Well, look at me, and I'm going to tell you. You're here today because he's suing you.
Yeah, obviously.
He's suing you, and one of the things that surprised me about Ms. Rusniak's call to the police is her statement to the police, which I believe said something, and I'm paraphrasing, the guy's got some serious issues. Well, I want to tell you something. If somebody had just assaulted my passenger, as you claim, I wouldn't have said this guy in a BMW had some serious issues. I would have said this guy driving erratically has just assaulted my passenger. He kicked and punched my car. Something is clearly wrong with him. Not in a almost lackadaisical way. I'm speaking. Almost, we can hear it again. Almost lackadaisical way. You're reporting that this guy's got some issues.
The operator never let us finish our statement.
Let me tell you something. I heard this very, very clearly. Nobody cut you off.
No.
Nobody cut you off.
He didn't play the whole tape.
You know when I said to you before, life has a rhythm, and if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. Somebody comes into my apartment in the middle of the night, takes a knife and puts it to my throat, and assaults me. While they're leaving, they steal a teacup. When I call 911, I don't say somebody just came into my house and stole a teacup. I say someone came into my house, put a knife to my throat, and assaulted me. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes,
I heard him in the background.
He was freaking out, and I was trying to be the calm one.
In the background. All right, let me see where you say she had the cell phone in the car.
Page 31, line 8 in the transcript. I have the excerpts, and then I have, and that's a certified transcript.
Now, Mr. McDonald, you think I'm finished with you? I haven't started with you yet.
Okay.
Because I can tell what happened here. Anybody who's lived as long as I have knows exactly what happened.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm not sure you weren't behaving a little erratically, and I'm not sure you didn't lose your temper and didn't use a lot of foul language.
I don't use foul language at all, Your Honor. Not at all.
Not according to the witnesses, sir. According to the witnesses, they say that you were using a little foul language.
That's where they're...
That may be.
That's where it fell apart in court. They never showed up.
Well, they may not have showed up for whatever reason, but that's what the witnesses said initially when they spoke to the police, whether they didn't want to get involved, whether they were neighbors, who knows. Page what?
Page 31, I believe it was line 8.
It's what you said, my dear. I'm going to read it to you. You backed up to help your boyfriend get into the car quicker, right? Yes. And then you leave. Yes. Okay, and you don't see the BMW anymore, correct? Not after I drove off. Okay, do you remember when you called 911? Yes, it was right as I was driving away.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No, because...
Well, that's what it says. Now, I would assume that the trial of this case, you remember things more clearly than you do today because it was closer in time to the event. Aside from the fact it doesn't make sense. Everybody keeps their cell phone in a car. So the fact that you say to me I didn't have my cell phone in the car was a crock. How much did this whole escapade cost you, Mr. McDonald?
He was able to do it for $3,500 as long as I supplied him with all the information.
But in court, you said that you got acquitted in 37 minutes. We were there.
No, it doesn't matter.
It
also, you said that you never touched my...
Third time, you couldn't control yourself. Not the first, not the second. Third time, you couldn't control yourself. So you can't control yourself, and she doesn't know how to tell the truth. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
And Your Honor, you're
Step
aware
out.
that I have judgments against each of it individually, correct?
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's it. You got it.
All these are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 352 on the calendar in the matter of Chavarria versus Calic. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Chavarria, the defendant is your former girlfriend, according to your complaint, after an argument at your sister's house. Is this your sister?
That is correct.
Miss Calick assaulted you, and later she burned some clothes that you had been laundering at her house. Miss Calick says she didn't burn your clothes, she doesn't know what you're talking about, but that you assaulted her during this altercation, and she is counterclaiming. Now, when did this altercation take place at your sister's house?
On October 7, 2005.
Tell me about it.
I was in the process of moving my clothing from my friend's house to my mom's house. So I asked Erica if I can do my laundry at her mom's house, and she said yeah.
Why didn't you do the laundry at your mother's house?
Because she doesn't have a washer and dryer.
Do you have a key to that house?
No.
How did you get in?
Her brother was there.
Who was this?
That's her brother.
Did you let him into the house?
No. He wasn't there. Like, I don't remember him letting him in.
Don't speak. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and I did my laundry, and there's some things that I dry, and then there's other things that I hang up. So I hung up all my clothing in her closet.
You hung up wet clothes in her closet?
I hung up my jeans, some of my work shirts, a couple sweaters, and that's about it.
Go ahead.
So I went and picked her up at about 12:30.
Where did you pick her up from?
From school.
Where do you go to school?
At Spokane Community College.
What are you studying?
I'm going for administrative systems.
What time did he pick you up at school?
12:30.
And where did you go?
We went back to my house.
When you got back to your house, was his laundry dry or wet?
When he left them from his friend's house, they were still in his trunk. He never did laundry at my house. He was going to, but we ended up going to go look for apartments to live in.
How do you know they were in his trunk?
Because he had brought them from his friend Mike's house.
What I'm asking you, Miss Calick, is how do you know his clothes were in his trunk?
Okay, I don't know. I'm assuming that they were.
Fine. What did you go to your house for?
Because we went and got a paper, and we sat there at my house and circled apartments and called and made appointments to go look at the apartments.
Where was your brother?
He was in his room.
Did you see him there?
Yes.
Did you go into his room?
Yes.
He didn't come out to you. You went into his room.
Well, not at this time. He was...
I'm just asking you a question.
No, I went into his room.
That's what I asked you. Next.
When we were looking for apartments, we went to one place, and we didn't really like it, so we decided to go to my sister's house, Clarissa. Me and Clarissa's ex-boyfriend went to the store, and when I came back, my friend Mike said Erica's in the room talking to her ex-boyfriend. So I went to listen on the phone to see if it was true, and she was on the phone talking.
Just a second. What do you mean you went to listen in on the phone?
I went into my sister's room to
And you picked up the extension?
Yeah.
That's pretty gross.
Okay. Then I went into the room and asked Erica why she was calling her ex-boyfriend, and then she said, "Why do you care?" And I was like, "Because I'm your boyfriend." I was like, "Would you want me to be calling my ex-girlfriend at one of your brother or sister's house and then be trying to hide it from my sisters like you're doing, like you're going to go cheat on me or something?" Then she got up and she's like, "Oh, you're always so jealous," and she started cussing me out and screaming at me. And then I took the phone from her, and then that's
How
when
did you get the phone from her?
Because I told her to leave.
Well, so far, all I'm hearing is, and I said to her, how would you think you would feel if it were me talking to an ex-girlfriend at your brother's house? And I took the phone from her. Tell me how you took the phone from her, sir. The phone is in her hand, yes.
And then I grabbed the phone from her.
Okay, well, now we get to the grab part. You grabbed the phone from her hand, and what happened when you grabbed the phone from her hand?
I told her to leave my sister's house.
You grabbed the phone from her hand. Did she pull back?
No.
She just gave you the phone?
She didn't give it to me. She tried to keep it in her hand.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Pay careful attention. Life has a certain rhythm to it. There are certain natural things that happen.
Yeah.
And when you get to be my age, things become more natural. You know, if it doesn't make sense, it usually doesn't happen. So that she's talking to the ex-boyfriend on the phone. You go to grab the phone out of her hand. She pulls back. You pull back. So now you're in a struggle for the phone, right?
Correct.
And then what happened, sir?
So I had the phone in my hand.
How did you do that?
I took the phone from her hand.
You overpowered her.
That is correct.
And?
And then that's when she hit me in my temple and once in my nose. And then I pushed her. And during the whole thing, that's when my sister walked in and was trying to pull us away from each other. And so I was walking outside, and that's when Erica pulled me back in and was hitting me all over in my neck, in my chest, in my back. And then I hit her in the eye because it was for self-defense. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't get away from her.
So the police came, and what happened when the police came?
Okay, before the police came, I was outside smoking a cigarette, and then Mercedes, Erica's daughter, came outside and asked me if I can give them a ride home. I said, yeah, and that's when Erica came barging outside and slammed the door open, and this door hit Mercedes in the face and gave her a bloody nose. And I was like, Erica, what are you doing? And then she said, look at my eye. And then I was like, look at my face, Erica. Look at what you did. If you didn't hit me first, I wouldn't have to defend myself.
What injuries did you have on your face?
I had cuts and bruises above my eye, under my eye. I had a couple lumps on my head. And
when the police came, did they arrest you?
No.
Did they arrest her?
No, because she wasn't there. She left before the police came.
Did you file
my part of the story? Because this.
I'm going to get to you.
Okay. Well, no.
I'm going to get to you.
Okay.
Does anybody have a copy of the police report?
No.
No.
According to the plaintiff, you had a prior incident involving domestic violence with him. Is that true?
Correct.
When was that?
June 2nd, 2005.
Were you taken into custody on that day?
Yes, I was.
How did you assault him?
I slapped him.
So that you're not a stranger to slapping him.
Oh, no. I've done it before.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just because you're the woman doesn't give you the right to put your hands on another person. And if you put your hands on another person, you hurt them a little bit, and they hurt you a lot, that comes under the category of too bad.
And later today,
If you don't pay child support for your child, you're a bum.
Yeah, basically.
Perfect.
It would have been his second time going to jail for not paying his child support.
That's a bum times 2.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Gabriel Chavarria says ex-girlfriend Erica Kallick owes for burning his clothes and punching him. Erica is countersuing, claiming Gabriel gave her a black eye.
What happened when he pulled the phone away from you?
He didn't even pull the phone away from me.
So tell me what happened when he came into the bedroom, which you acknowledged that he did.
Yes.
Came into the bedroom and you got into a heated argument about you're allegedly speaking to a former boyfriend.
I wasn't speaking to anybody. It was his friend Mike that was talking to my ex-boyfriend because they're friends and they were going to go out to a party or something.
So you never got on the phone to say hello?
No, never.
So when he came inside and said, what's going on? Let me hear.
He stood up and, well, I stood up because I was sitting on the floor. And
what were you doing sitting on the floor?
We were all sitting on the floor.
Who's all?
Me, his friend Mike, and his other sister.
You mean the two of you weren't alone in the room at the time?
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
And I stood up because he got on the other line and he heard my ex-boyfriend talking, but I wasn't speaking to him. So he came in and said that I was trying to call him, and it's just common sense that why I wouldn't call my ex-boyfriend at his sister's house. So I stood up and he was calling me all these names and pushed me, so I pushed him back and he hit me in the room. It wasn't in the living room or where he said it was. It was in the room, and I fell back on the bed and got up and then pushed him again, and we just kind of got in a fight, but I didn't punch him or slap him or anything. And then he had a scratch right here, and that was the only thing that he had. I have pictures.
Just a second. He had a scratch from what?
Well, I'm guessing I scratched him. I don't remember.
Well, you must have scratched him because according to you, all I heard was I pushed him.
No, and then we got into a fight. But I didn't punch him or anything, like
you
he
scratched
said.
him.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
I guess.
Let me ask you this question, madam. If you scratched him and he just had a little scratch over here, you think that he overreacted by punching you in the eye?
Yes, I do.
That's too bad. If you put your hands on somebody and scratch them, give them a little scratch, sometimes you get, listen to me, sometimes you get the worst of the deal. Somebody's going to get the bad part of a bargain every time there's an altercation, a physical altercation. Somebody's going to get hurt a little bit more than another person. And just because you're the woman doesn't give you the right to put your hands on another person. And if you put your hands on another person, you hurt them a little bit, and they hurt you a lot, that comes under the category of too bad.
It was in self-defense, Your Honor.
Listen to me. Listen to me. That comes under the category of too bad. You can't scratch him and then say, well, I can scratch you, but you better not punch me in the eye. You better not give me a black eye. Now, when he gave you the black eye, were you angry?
Of course.
And then you went home with your daughter. Now, did you hurt your daughter that day?
No, I didn't. She got a bloody nose, but I did not do it.
Well, who did it?
I don't know.
That should have been your primary concern, not your black eye, how your 4-year-old daughter got a bloody nose.
It wasn't. That was not my concern.
Listen to me. Because according to him, he says he knows how your daughter got it. You came, you opened the door on her face, and that's how she got a bloody nose. Then you put her in the car and you took her home. When did you notice her bloody nose?
Right away, right when it happened.
Well, if you noticed it right when it happened, how did it happen?
Because my back was faced toward her, and then she started crying. I said, what happened? She goes, I got hit in the nose, and it was bleeding. That's the only thing. Then I grabbed her and walked downstairs and walked to my mom's work because he wouldn't give me a ride home.
Let me see an inventory, sir, about what you allege was in her house.
All my clothes were in her house, but I had to go and get new clothes. These are just the receipts of all my clothes that I had to buy. And here's a letter from my supervisor from all the scratches and cuts and welts on my head.
Listen to me. I believe she assaulted you. I believe that you hit her and gave her a black eye. Terrific. That's quite a way to behave in front of a 4-year-old. Put your hand down. You went in there angry. If I believe what you say, sir, if I believe what you say, which is different from what she says, you put your hands on her first, only by trying to take the phone away from her.
That is correct.
You struggled over the phone. You have no right to put your hands on anybody in an aggressive way. Put your hands on her in an aggressive way if I believe you. I believe somewhere in between these two stories is the truth. But if you each wound up with a couple of scratches and a black eye, it sounds to me like you deserved each other. How do you know she burned your clothes?
My sister called her later that night and asked Erica how she was doing, if her eye was okay.
Up here. Tell me your last name.
Trevoria.
Did you speak to her later that day on the 7th of October?
Yeah, I called.
Just a second. You called to ask her if her eye was okay?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said it was still black. It was still hurting.
And?
I asked her how her daughter's bloody nose was, and she said it was better. And I said, well, Erica, don't throw away his clothes. And she said, no, tell him I'm going to burn him and throw him away. I said, Erica, don't cause drama, because, and then she's like, no, and then she hung up on me.
Sit down. You had jeans, sweaters, work shirts. How many work shirts?
About 10.
Get out of here. Let me see the bills that you have. Let me see the bills that you have.
Donna, can I say something?
Go ahead.
When she called me, she never asked about his clothes because his clothes were never at my house. She asked me if I was okay. And I was like, yeah. I said, why are you going to call, now and ask me if I'm okay when she didn't try and do anything when he hit me?
What about when you hit him?
What do you mean?
Did she try to do anything when you hit him?
No. She tried breaking us up and saying, Gabriel, just stop, stop.
All the clothes that you purchased, sir, were $453. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $453. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out.
I didn't want to be with him anymore. I was showing it. He obviously got the hint now.
She never even hinted that to me.
He had a car. He gave me money, and so that's why I was with him.
See, that shows you the type of girl she is right there.
পল হেইম্যান ধোঁকা দিবেন রোমান রেন্সকে। বর্তমান সময়ে হেড অব দ্য টেবল দ্য ট্রাইবাল চিফ রোমান রেন্স পল হেইম্যানের সঙ্গে যুক্ত রয়েছেন। তবে ভবিষ্যতে পল হেইম্যান এবং রোমান রেন্সকে একসঙ্গে দেখা যাবে না, কেননা পল হেইম্যান রোমান রেন্সকে ধোঁকা দিয়ে অন্য ট্রাইবাল চিফ অর্থাৎ রক, হলিউড সুপারস্টার রকের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হতে পারেন। চলুন আজকের এই ভিডিওটিতে জেনে নেওয়া যাক রোমান রেঞ্জের ওয়াইজ ম্যান পল হেইম্যান ভবিষ্যতে কখনো রোমান রেন্সকে ধোঁকা দিতে পারেন কিনা, আর পল হেইম্যান যদি রোমান রেন্সকে ধোঁকায় দেয় তাহলে পল হেইম্যান কোন রেসলারের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হবেন। তো জানতে হলে অবশ্যই সম্পূর্ণ ভিডিওটি দেখতে থাকুন। তবে ভিডিওটি শুরু করবার আগে আপনি যদি আমাদের এই চ্যানেলে নতুন দর্শক হয়ে থাকেন, অর্থাৎ আপনি যদি রেসলিং সম্পর্কে নিয়মিত ভিডিও পেতে চান, তাহলে অবশ্যই আমাদের এই রেসলবিডি চ্যানেলটিকে সাবস্ক্রাইব করে পাশেই থাকুন, কেননা রেসলিং নিয়ে প্রত্যেক দিন আমরা অনেক আপডেট ভিডিও দিয়ে থাকি। তো চলুন দেরি না করে ভিডিওটি শুরু করা যাক। বিশেষ করে আপনারা যেমনটা জানেন, পল হেইম্যান বর্তমান সময়ে রোমান রেঞ্জের ওয়াইজ ম্যান হিসেবে রোমান রেঞ্জের সঙ্গে যুক্ত রয়েছেন। ওয়াইজ ম্যান পল হেইম্যান রোমান রেঞ্জের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হবার পরে রোমান রেঞ্জের ক্যারিয়ার একেবারে উচ্চ পর্যায়ে চলে গিয়েছে। যে সময় রোমান রেঞ্জ ডিপ্রেশনে চলে গিয়েছিলেন, ডাব্লিউডাব্লিউ থেকে বিদায় নিয়েছিলেন যে ডাব্লিউডাব্লিউতে হয়তো বা আমার ফিউচারে আর কিছু হবে না, সে সময়ে পল হেইম্যান এসে রোমান রেঞ্জের পাশে দাঁড়িয়েছিলেন। হঠাৎ করেই দেখা গিয়েছিল রোমান রেঞ্জের সঙ্গে পল হেইম্যান যুক্ত হয়েছিলেন এবং যুক্ত হবার পরে রোমান রেঞ্জ তিনি হিল টার্ন করেছিলেন। রোমান রেঞ্জ তিনি হিল টার্ন করবার পরে একের পর এক সাকসেসের দেখা পায়। রোমান রেঞ্জ তিনি আনডিসপিউটেড টাইটেলটি জিততে পারে, ইউনিভার্সাল টাইটেলটি জিতে, ওয়ার্ল্ড হেভিওয়েট চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপটি জিতে। সমস্ত কিছুই কিন্তু পল হেইম্যানের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হবার পরেই এই রেকর্ডগুলো গড়ে। রোমান রেঞ্জ প্রায় 1300 দিন ধরে আনডিসপিউটেড WWE ইউনিভার্সাল চ্যাম্পিয়ন ছিলেন। সেখানে রোমান রেঞ্জ একটি বারের জন্যও হারেননি। এই রেকর্ডগুলো গড়েছেন পল হেইম্যানের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হবার পরে। অর্থাৎ পল হেইম্যান শুধু যে রোমান রেঞ্জকে সহযোগিতা করেন অন স্ক্রিন এমনটা কিন্তু নয়, বরং ব্যাক স্টেজে পল হেইম্যানের অনেক বড় হাত রয়েছে। তিনি স্কিপ রাইড করেন, পল হেইম্যানের স্টোরিগুলা নিজে ম্যানেজ করেন এবং রোমান রেঞ্জকে উচ্চ পর্যায়ে নিয়ে যাওয়ার জন্য পল হেইম্যান যা কিছু করেন। তবে পল হেইম্যান রোমান রেঞ্জের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হবার পরে, রোমান রেঞ্জের এতটা সাকসেস পাবার পরে, রোমান রেঞ্জের এই স্টোরিগুলোর মধ্যে একবার দেখানো হয়েছিল রোমান রেঞ্জ এসে পল হেইম্যানকে আক্রমণ করেছিলেন এবং পল হেইম্যানকে আক্রমণ করেছিলেন এটার জন্যই কেননা পল হেইম্যান হয়তোবা রোমান রেঞ্জকে ধোকা দিতে পারতেন এবং ধোকা দিয়ে এই ব্রক লেসনারকে জয়েন করতে পারতেন। তবে রোমান রেঞ্জ এই বিষয়গুলো বুঝে উঠবার আগেই পল হেইম্যানকে আক্রমণ শুরু করে দেন। জেই উসো, জিমি উসো, রোমান রেঞ্জ তারা সকলে মিলে পল হেইম্যানকে অনেক বাজেভাবে আক্রমণ করে WWE থেকে বিদায় করে দিয়েছিলেন। তবে পল হেইম্যান তিনি আবারও হঠাৎ করে দেখা গিয়েছে ব্রক লেসনারের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হয়েছিলেন এবং ব্রক লেসনারের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হবার পরে তিনি এক পর্যায়ে ব্রক লেসনারকে ধোকা দিলেন রয়্যাল রাম্বলে ববি লেসলির এগেনস্টে যখন ম্যাচ চলছিল পল হেইম্যানের, ঠিক সেই সময় ব্রক লেসনারকে ধোকা দিলেন পল হেইম্যান এবং ধোকা দিয়ে রোমান রেঞ্জের সঙ্গে আবারও যুক্ত হলেন। এরপর থেকে রোমান রেঞ্জ, পল হেইম্যান তারা দুজনে একসাথে রয়েছেন। সর্বশেষ রেসেলমেনিয়াতে যখন রোমান রেঞ্জ চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপ হেরে গিয়েছিল, তারপরে পল হেইম্যান ওয়াইজ ম্যান হিসেবে সোলো সিকোয়ার সঙ্গে ছিলেন। তবে সোলো সিকোয়া তিনিও যখন পল হেইম্যানকে আক্রমণ করে WWE থেকে বিদায় করে দিলেন, তারপরে যখন রোমান রেঞ্জ ফিরে এসেছেন, রোমান রেঞ্জ তিনি একের পর এক ম্যাচ হারছিলেন, রোমান রেঞ্জের সহযোগিতা প্রয়োজন হচ্ছিল। সেই সময়ে পল হেইম্যান আবারও তিনি অনেক ভালো ভূমিকায় ফিরে এসেছেন। তিনি সিএম পাঙ্ককে নিয়ে এসেছেন, সিএম পাঙ্ককে নিয়ে এসে রোমান রেঞ্জকে সহযোগিতা করেছেন, রোমান রেঞ্জকে ম্যানেজ করেছেন। অর্থাৎ আবার ওয়াইজ ম্যান পল হেইম্যান ফিরে এসে রোমান রেঞ্জকে সহযোগিতা করেছেন আর সহযোগিতা করার মাধ্যমেই তিনি ইঙ্গিত দিয়েছিলেন রোমান রেঞ্জ তোমার টেনশন নেই, আমি পল হেইম্যান যতদিন রয়েছি ততদিন তোমাকে কেউ কিচ্ছু করতে পারবে না। এই বিষয়টি তিনি ইনডাইরেক্টলি বলেই দিয়েছিলেন। তবে যাই হোক, রোমান রেঞ্জ এবং পল হেইম্যান ইন ফিউচার এদের মধ্যে কোনো ব্রেকআপ হবে কিনা এই টপিক্সটা নিয়ে আজকের এই ভিডিওটি। চলুন এই টপিক্সটি নিয়ে ডিসকাস করা যাক। পল হেইম্যান অবশ্যই রোমান রেঞ্জকে এক পর্যায়ে ধোকা দিবেন, তবে এদের ধোকা দেবার কারণটি থাকবে অনেক ইন্টারেস্টিং। সেটা হচ্ছে আপনারা যেমনটা জানেন রোমান রেঞ্জকে ট্রাইবাল চিফ বলা হয় কেন? রোমান রেঞ্জকে ট্রাইবাল চিফ বলা হয় কেননা সামোয়ান ফ্যামিলির নেতা হিসেবে রোমান রেঞ্জকে ধরা হয়, সামোয়ান ফ্যামিলির হেড বা হেড অফ দ্য টেবল হিসেবে রোমান রেঞ্জকে ধরা হয়। এটার জন্যই রোমান রেঞ্জকে ট্রাইবাল চিফ বলা হয়। যেহেতু রোমান রেঞ্জের কাছে উলাফালা মালা রয়েছে সামোয়ান ফ্যামিলির, এটা সব থেকে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ একটি বিষয়। এই মালাটি যে রেসলারের কাছে থাকবে সেই রেসলারই সে সময়ে ট্রাইবাল চিফ হিসেবে স্বীকৃতি পাবে। তবে এদের স্টোরি লাইনের মধ্যে এক পর্যায়ে দেখা যাবে হলিউড সুপারস্টার রক অথবা সোলো সিকোয়া তো নিজেকে বর্তমান সময়ে ট্রাইবাল চিফ দাবি করছেন। তবে হলিউড সুপারস্টার রক নিজেকে হেড অফ দ্য টেবল দাবি করেছেন একবার, তবে এখনো পর্যন্ত নিজেকে ট্রাইবাল চিফ হিসেবে একবারের জন্যও দাবি করেননি। তবে যখন হলিউড সুপারস্টার দ্য রক নিজেকে ট্রাইবাল চিফ হিসেবে দাবি করা শুরু করবেন এবং দাবি করবার পরে এক পর্যায়ে দেখা যাবে ট্রাইবাল চিফ দ্য রক তিনি পল হেইম্যানকে রোমান রেঞ্জের কাছ থেকে ছিনিয়ে নেবেন। রোমান রেঞ্জের কাছ থেকে যে শুধু পল হেইম্যানকে ছিনিয়ে নেবেন এমনটা কিন্তু নয়, রোমান রেঞ্জের কাছ থেকে হেড অফ দ্য টেবল স্ট্যাটাস ছিনিয়ে নেবেন, রোমান রেঞ্জের ট্রাইবাল চিফ স্ট্যাটাস ছিনিয়ে নেবেন এবং রোমান রেঞ্জের কাছ থেকে উলাফালা মালাটি ছিনিয়ে নেবেন এবং এন্ডিং পর্যায়ে এসে পল হেইম্যানকে তিনি নিজের কাছে ছিনিয়ে নেবেন। অর্থাৎ রোমান রেঞ্জের কাছ থেকে পল হেইম্যানকে ছিনিয়ে নেবেন। আর সে সময় হয়তোবা রক তিনি ইন্টারনালি পল হেইম্যানের সঙ্গে আগে থেকে কথা বলে যুক্তিবুদ্ধি করে সব কিছু নিয়ে তারা ডিসিশন নিয়ে এক পর্যায়ে হয়তোবা এরকমও হতে পারে যে পল হেইম্যান রোমান রেঞ্জকে ধোকা দিয়ে হলিউড সুপারস্টার দ্য রকের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হবেন। তো WWE ম্যানেজমেন্ট তাদের স্টোরি লাইনের স্বার্থে, স্টোরি লাইনের খাতিরে শুধু রকের সঙ্গে নয়, সিএম পাঙ্ক বা যে কোনো রেসলারের সঙ্গে পল হেইম্যানকে যে কোনো সময় যুক্ত করতে পারেন। অর্থাৎ এদের স্টোরি লাইনের মধ্যে কোনো এক পর্যায়ে অবশ্যই হলিউড সুপারস্টার দ্য রকের ইনভলভমেন্ট দেখবেন এবং অন্য কোনো রেসলারের ইনভলভমেন্ট দেখবেন। তবে রোমান রেঞ্জের এই স্টোরি লাইনে যে কোনো সময় যে কোনো মুহূর্তে পল হেইম্যান রোমান রেঞ্জকে ধোকা দিতে পারেন, রোমান রেঞ্জকে ধোকা দিয়ে হয়তোবা অন্য কোনো রেসলারের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হতে পারেন। অর্থাৎ এই বিষয়টি আপনারা কনফার্মই ধরে নিতে পারেন দ্য রক, সিএম পাঙ্ক, জেই উসো, জিমি উসো বা যেই কোনো বা ব্রক লেসনার যে কোনো রেসলারের সঙ্গে যে কোনো মুহূর্তে পল হেইম্যান ধোকা দিয়ে মানে রোমান রেঞ্জকে ধোকা দিয়ে এদের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হতে পারেন। তবে এই বিষয়টি আপাতত দেখা যাবে না। আপাতত রোমান রেঞ্জের ওয়াইজ ম্যান হিসেবে পল হেইম্যান রোমান রেঞ্জের সঙ্গে যুক্ত থাকবেন। তবে এই সমস্ত বিষয়গুলোই আসলে ঘটতে দেখা যাবে। তবে আপনাদের কি মনে হয়, কখনো কি পল হেইম্যান রোমান রেঞ্জকে ধোঁকা দিয়ে অন্য কোনো রেসলারের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হবেন? মানে একান্তই আপনাদের মতামত কি অবশ্যই কমেন্ট বক্সে কমেন্ট করে জানাবেন। আর এই ছিল আজকের টপিকস, পল হেইম্যানের ধোঁকা দেওয়ার বিষয়টা। তবে আশা করব ভিডিওটি আপনাদের ভালো লেগেছে। ভিডিওটি যদি ভালো লেগে থাকে তাহলে অবশ্যই আমাদের ভিডিওটিকে অবশ্যই একটি লাইক দিবেন। আর আপনারা নিয়মিত রেসলিং সম্পর্কে যদি ভিডিও পেতে চান তাহলে অবশ্যই আমাদের এই রেসলবিডি চ্যানেলটিকে সাবস্ক্রাইব করে আপনারা পাশেই থাকবেন। দেখা হচ্ছে পরের কোনো ভিডিওটিতে। ভালো থাকবেন, সুস্থ থাকবেন। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে।